Chapter 199, Your Garbage. Dice, blackjack, roulette, poker, slot machines, and many more games on the cruise. Casual betting is for fun. If it gets serious, one will lose the entire family's fortune. Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue came here to have some fun. It would be a pleasant experience for them too. Wang Xian had never been exposed to gambling before, so he was a little curious about it. But he was not expecting he could earn money with this. In fact, given Wang Xian's current ability, he was unable to make money with gambling as well. He was not the god of gamblers. He might possess a mighty strength, but this had no relationship with gambling skills. He did not have any supernatural power to change a card, just like how they did in the movies. In the movies, the actors memorized the cards. But even if Wang Xian had a good memory, this was not a movie after all. The bottom card could not be seen when the dealer shuffles the cards. In reality, the casinos would not cheat, except to earn money by using a certain probability. This probability could guarantee that they could make money out of it. Of course, each casino would have a gambling master to prevent others from cheating or making trouble in the casinos. Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue, with a beaming face, came to exchange 1 million worth of chips. Let's see if we can win some money. Lan Qingyue exclaimed with a smile. This isn't easy. Let's go and play something simple. Wang Xian said as he went to the sick bow table. Sick bow is a simple game that bets on the total scores of the dice. 4 to 10 total score will make a small, while 11 to 17 will make a big. You can even bet on specific scores, and the payouts are different. 2 of them came to the table with 6 people gathered around. They were placing bets, and shouting, big and small. Among them, some of the men were hugging young and beautiful women. Some of them wore low-cut dresses. They leaned their bodies on the men with alluring expressions. Finalize your bets now, the dealer said to the crowd around the table. When Wang Xian saw the crowd placing their bets, he looked over his shoulder and said to Lan Qingyue, let's play this. Big or small? Big. Lan Qingyue chuckled as she said. Okay, we'll bet $50,000 and try our luck. Wang Xian smiled and placed 5 chips on big. 1, 2, 4. 7 points, small. After he placed the bets, the dealer opened the cage and counted the points before she announced the outcome to everyone. Oh, Xiao Xian. We lost. Upon seeing the result, Lan Qingyue pouted and spoke grumpily. Ha, it's fine. It's my turn. Wang Xian laughed as the dealer continued to roll the dice. With some hesitation, he continued, this time, we'll still bet on big. 2, 2, 4. 8 points, small. The result was out, and Wang Xian was speechless. He'd lost again. Your turn next. Wang Xian said with a bitter look on his face. Sure. Lan Qingyue smiled. Let's go somewhere else. After more than 10 consecutive rounds, they had lost $200,000. Wang Xian went to other gambling tables without any choices. Sure, you really don't have the luck. Hee, I didn't lose that much. Wang Xian lost his words. A loss is still a loss no matter how much you lose. There's a fishing slot machine over there. Let's play that. Wang Xian saw the fishing slot machines not far away from them. He had seen those in his hometown, but he had never tried before. After he played those machines, Wang Xian was left with only $200,000 worth of chips. He'd lost about $700,000 within an hour. He had to admit that gambling was losing more than winning. We still have the last 20 chips. Let's get our base money back. Wang Xian was not too mindful about losing money. He went back excitedly to the place where they'd bet on the dice. There were 4 young men and 5 middle-aged men at the table. Wang Xian walked over and sat at the side. Lan Qingyue was standing and watching him play from the side with smiles. Finalize your bets. The dealer's voice was heard again. Wang Xian looked around as he beamed. He then placed his bet on the small. 4, 5, 6. 15 points, big. Ha, I told you it's big again. At this moment, a young man laughed out loud. He stood up and collected all the chips with a stuck-up look. Awesome, you're indeed someone who uses hidden weapons. The few young men beside him praised him with envy. The young man immediately revealed a conceited look. He drew his lips slightly. It is worth it to practice for so long. Finally, I see some results. If you can place your attention on your cultivation, I'm sure you can surpass your current strength today, a young man quipped at him. Why do people lead such tiring lives? Just have fun in the things you're interested in. No matter what, I don't have anything to worry about for the rest of my life. The young man was chic as he held a chip in his hand. Suddenly, he looked at Lan Qingyue, who was diagonal across from him. Right, beauty. He flicked his finger, and the chip shot in a straight and precise direction to the clothes under Lan Qingyue's neck. Ha, gambling and beauty. How cool is Brother Zhu? The young men beside him chuckled and commented. Piak. When Wang Xian saw the flying chip, he frowned and reached out to receive it. The chip said 20. That represented $200,000, which was the biggest denomination chip over here. Do not litter. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and threw the chip in the garbage bin at the side. The young man, who was laughing, drew his lips slightly when he saw Wang Xian throw his chip away after receiving it. He then sized Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue up with a face full of smiles. Ha, you just got a slap in your face. The rest of the young men chuckled at what they saw. That young man waved his hand as he was not bothered by it. Big or small? Finalize your bet. At this time, the dealer was heard again. Wang Xian looked over and threw a few chips on the small. Let's just place any bets. That young man looked at Wang Xian. Just now, he did not listen to the sound of the dice. Hence, he just placed $200,000 worth of chips on big. 3, 5, 6. 14 points, big. Ha, my luck is good. I can even win when I just placed my bet anyhow. The young man chuckled once again. With a playful look, he stared at Wang Xian. Brat, you're out of luck today. Wang Xian cast a cold glance at the young man and ignored him. Xiao Xian, let's forget about them. Lan Qingyue popped over and reminded him with a whisper. Wang Xian smiled and nodded. He would not dampen his mood just because of a few pieces of garbage over there. It's okay. Let's carry on. Wang Xian saw that the dealer had rolled the dice. He took out another 5 chips and placed them on small. Tisk, brat, you're garbage. At the same time, the young man sitting diagonally opposite him shook his head. He then placed his chip on big with beaming expressions. 1, 4, 6. 11 points, big. The dealer opened the hood and announced the outcome loudly. Chapter 200, Eyes Modification. Ha! The laughter of that young man sounded again as he revealed a conceited look. Oh, Zhu Qian, are you here to wreck my casino? Let me tell you this, I won't be paying you the money you win. At this moment, a good-looking young man walked over. Beside him, a middle-aged man and an old man followed closely behind. The two of them were to the left and right of the young man. Hee hee. If Brother Tiancheng isn't paying me my winnings, I can only make you pay for my bills on the cruise, Zhu Qian smiled and replied to the incoming young man. Ha! Great! Since you guys are here, it's only natural that I will be a good host. The young man laughed as he walked over and patted on Zhu Qian's shoulders. Have a good time. Let me arrange the itinerary for the next few days. Thank you, Brother Tiancheng. The surrounding group of young men answered with radiant smiles. Finalize your bets. When the dealer saw the approaching young man, he perked up. He became more serious with shaking the dice and announced loudly. These are the last 5 chips. Qingyue, I'll leave them with you. Wang Xian handed over the 5 chips to Qingyue. Alright. Just see how I am going to win them all back. Lan Qingyue took over the chips and was hesitating on placing them on the big or small section. Hey, pretty. Follow me and I can guarantee your win. At this moment, Zhu Qian looked at Lan Qingyue and commented. The young man that had just arrived took a glance at Zhu Qian before looking at Lan Qingyue. A thought struck him and he smiled. I don't care. Lan Qingyue glanced at Zhu Qian with contempt and still placed her bet under the small section. Hee hee. Zhu Qian shook his head as he placed his chips on the big section. Pretty, if you follow me, I can guarantee your winnings. The brat beside you is trash. The other young men looked on with cocky smiles. 2, 4, 6. 12 points, big wins. The dealer revealed the dice and announced the result loudly. Don't come and disgust others, Lan Qingyue replied with disdain after hearing flirtatious comments from Zhu Qian constantly. Oh. Zhu Qian raised an eyebrow and unhappiness flashed past his eyes. Seeing that Lan Qingyue had 0 chips left, he lifted his head and remarked, Hey pretty, out of chips already. Here are some for you to play with. As he finished his sentence, he threw out 5 to 6 chips. Each chip was worth $200,000. His actions made the remaining young men tongue-tied. To just throw out $1. 2 million like this, that's the demeanor of a local tyrant. Let's go, Xiao Xian, and ignore this crazy guy. When Lan Qingyue saw the looks of Zhu Qian, she felt even more contempt. She wasn't a little girl who hadn't seen the world. She was making decisions for Deep Sea Jewelry, an organization of over $10 billion. Zhu Qian's actions to her were those of a retard. Hee hee. Wang Xian nodded his head and laughed lightly. He saw the embarrassed looks on Zhu Qian and felt even more like laughing. Lan Qingyue still had a domineering character. A female CEO that helmed a $10 billion business wasn't someone who would be tempted by money from a rich kid. Hey pretty, you better watch your words. Zhu Qian saw the mocking eyes of his friends and said with a solemn expression. When Lan Qingyue heard Zhu Qian, she replied with contempt. You are just another guy who feels too good about himself. In my eyes, you are. TSK. You must be lacking someone to teach you. Zhu Qian squinted his eyes as vile thoughts and looks flashed past his mind. Huh? When Wang Xian heard his words, his face turned cold. He looked at Zhu Qian and the group of young men behind him before finally stopping at the young man who had just arrived. Is this your cruise? Does it mean that you allow your friends to spout nonsense here? As long as my friends are happy, I can handle the rest. That young man was surprised to see Wang Xian questioning him as he replied directly. As long as my friends are happy, I can handle the rest. A nonchalant answer from him that showed that he wasn't concerned about what had happened. In his eyes, there was indeed nothing to be calculative about. This was his territory and considering Zhu Qian's background, he was someone worth his protection. Ha, great. Interesting. Wang Xian heard the young man's reply and revealed a creepy grin. Let's go Qingyue. Let's get some more chips and have some fun with them. Wang Xian said to Lan Qingyue before walking towards the place to exchange chips. Huh? Lan Qingyue looked at him with questions in her mind. Just wait here a little. Wang Xian smiled at her before speaking to the group of young men. Oh. Zhu Qian and the group of young men looked at Wang Xian with doubts. They couldn't tell what Wang Xian wanted to do. However, they didn't say a word and simply looked at him coldly. Wang Xian walked to the chips exchange area, took out his card and said to the employee, $5 million. Get me the chips with the largest denominations. All right, sir. The employee smiled and nodded his head before passing him his chips. Xiao Xian, let's forget about it. With our skills, we will just be giving them money. Let's not be calculative with a few rich kids. Seeing how Wang Xian had reacted, Lan Qingyue thought that Wang Xian just wanted to do something for her. She immediately discouraged him. It's fine. I need to use the washroom. When I get back, I'll be the gambling king. Wang Xian thumped his chest and replied with a radiant grin. Lan Qingyue looked at him helplessly. If we lose this money, we won't be continuing no matter what. Alright. I understand. A gambler will lose 9 out of 10 times. Wang Xian grinned and nodded his head before heading to the washroom. As for Lan Qingyue, she waited outside the washroom. The washroom on the cruise was luxurious and grand. Every cubicle was also tightly separated. Hee, I'll make you pay a heavy price for being so cocky today. Wang Xian revealed a deadly smirk. He had not wanted to resort to this. However, it seemed like there would be such a need at this moment. He took out a fist-sized item from his pocket. The eye of a level 11 ichthyosaur. Wang Xian had not devoured the eyes but had kept it instead. As the divine dragon, he had an extremely powerful ability. Wang Xian had utilized it a little initially. And that was modification. Using dragon energy for modification was an extremely powerful ability. Wang Xian had earned his first bucket of gold through dragon energy modification. Dragon energy modification could alter an animal exterior. Based on the extent of the modification, the exhaustion of the dragon energy would differ. At this moment, Wang Xian could even use dragon energy to alter his own body. Other than his appearance, he could also modify his interior. For example, his heart or other related organs. This would naturally include his eyes. Wang Xian could modify his eyes to give them the ability to see further, but was limited to this. This was because he did not have samples of other eyes and didn't know how to modify. The ability to see further is simple and he could understand. If he wanted abilities like Byakugan or Sharingan from the popular manga series, Naruto, it would be difficult, as he did not have a sample. Modification couldn't be done out of the thin air. And just a night ago, he had obtained the eyes of the ichthyosaur. The ability of this eye was to enable the user to see weakness. Based on his previous research, the ability of this eye wasn't as great as he had initially imagined. Its real ability was penetration. To put it simply, it was to see through things. The stronger the organism or object, the harder it was to see through. On the contrary, the weaker it was, the easier it was to see through. This was also similar to the ability to identify one's weakness. The Clam Girl's long-range assistance could bring significant advantages to the devil monkeys who would engage in close combat. In the future, the 9 divisions of the Divine Dragon will create a formation. The Devil Division will be the forward. We need to have an auxiliary division, a long-range attack division, and a defense division, just like the assistants, tankers, supports, mages, and scouts in a game. Wang Xian thought to himself. Zhu Qian gave a cold look at Wang Xian while throwing a chip on small. Just now, my luck was poor. But now, my lady of luck is back since I washed my hands, Wang Xian said impassively as he received $2 million worth of chips from the dealer. Finalize your bets, the dealer announced to everyone at the table after he shook the dice again. Gentlemen, follow my bet. Wang Xian looked at the other 5 middle-aged men on the same table and spoke with a smile on his face. They hesitated as they did not believe in him since he had lost a huge amount of money just now. Wang Xian was not bothered by this at all. He placed another $1 million worth of chips on small. Zhu Qian was somewhat surprised as he placed his chip on small as well. The rest of the middle-aged men could not make up their decisions. But some decided to follow Wang Xian and place a higher stake. 1, 3, 3. 7 points, small wins. The dealer opened the cover and frowned before he declared the score. Looks like my lady of luck is here. Wang Xian smiled as he had earned 2 million in a short while. Let's continue. The dealer shook the dice for a longer time such that Zhu Qian frowned at it. Wang Xian swept his gaze and saw the points clearly in it. I shall place a higher bet. As he spoke, he threw $5 million on big immediately. Some of the middle-aged men hesitated before they followed his bet with 10,000 worth of chips. Zhu Qian knit his eyebrows together. Just now, the dealer has taken a longer time to shake the dice with a variety of changes made to the rhythm. Apparently, all these dealers were specially trained to interrupt some people with special hearing. Small. He chose not to follow Wang Xian and placed a chip on small. 4, 4, 6. 14 points, big wins. When the dealer opened the cover and saw the points in it, his expression changed slightly. All of a sudden, this gambling table was losing a large sum of money. Zhu Qian had a different expression as he stared at Wang Xian with an awful look. You're damn lucky. Ha, you're absolute garbage. Wang Xian smiled and returned his remark. Bro, you're in some kind of luck today. Your lady of luck is here. Yes, carry on with the bets. We'll place the same thing and reap the gains. The middle-aged men beside him laughed as they spoke to Wang Xian. Since Wang Xian had won 3 times in a row, his luck had proven to be good. Sure. Follow me, and you'll never lose out. Wang Xian said confidently. He did not mind people who won money because of him since they would not be a hindrance to him. Besides, that young man seemed to be the in charge of this cruise. Wang Xian intended to make him cry his eyes out. Chapter 202, I'll leave when I win $800 million to $1 billion. On the gambling table, the smart-looking man started to frown when he saw Wang Xian win $5 million in one game. However, he didn't say a word. In the gaming industry, it is common to see customers win money. In fact, some people even win tens of millions. However, these people were rare. Large-scale casinos like theirs wouldn't say much about it and would only attribute it to the luck of their customers. Let's continue. Wang Xian looked at the dealer and said with a smile. The dealer started to frown and looked towards the young man. The young man gestured for him to continue. The dealer nodded. He then covered the dice shaker and started shaking them. This time, the dealer shook the dice for a longer period. Pack. The dealer put the dice shaker on the table and remarked, please finalize your bets. Wang Xian scanned through and placed $5 million on the small section. Follow him. Those middle-aged men beside him didn't hesitate to follow him. Some took out several tens of thousands while others placed bets of over a few 100,000. Zhu Qian's face was gloomy and he remained silent. He could only vaguely guess the results as the dealer shook the dice for a longer time. Therefore, he didn't place his bet for this round. Seeing chips of over $5 million for this round, the dealer took a deep breath before opening the dice cover. 1, 1, 4. Small. Ha, we won. You are awesome, young brother. You are fantastic. Yes, Lady Luck is really smiling brightly on you. We won, we won. A few middle-aged men beside Wang Xian's side stood up in a hurry and quickly swept the chips over and in front of Wang Xian. The dealer swallowed his saliva. He hesitated for a moment before paying out the remaining chips. How is this possible? This young man was trash previously. How could he become? Zhu Qian's expression changed for the worse as he looked at Wang Xian in disbelief. The young man beside Zhu Qian frowned. He then waved his hand to signal to the old man behind him. Young master. Check if he is cheating. Yes, young master, the old man nodded and moved to a position opposite Wang Xian. Thank you for your hard work. Wang Xian said. Wang Xian gave a ridiculed expression when he saw the old man moving to the position opposite him to observe him. He took up a chip worth $200,000 and threw it towards the old man. What great luck you are on, son. I would like to observe for a while. The old man picked up the token and spoke to Wang Xian while maintaining a smile. As you wish. Wang Xian replied and nodded nonchalantly. Let's continue, the young man said to the dealer grumpily. Perspiration covered the dealer's forehead. He nodded, picked up the dice shaker and started shaking again. Wang Xian sat there nonchalantly while Lan Qingyue grabbed his hand blissfully. Please finalize your bets, the dealer stuttered. Big. Wang Xian scanned through and pushed $10 million worth of chips forward. Big. Big. I'll bet $1 million. I believe in you, young brother, $500,000. The group of middle-aged men who had followed Wang Xian with his bets previously placed all their chips forward. Those around them saw the quantum of the bets and turned over curiously. There were also some who were attracted by the crowd. Open. 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 Big. 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 The group of middle-aged men beside Wang Xian were already chanting ecstatically before Wang Xian said a word. The dealer's hands trembled. He looked at the bets amounting to over $12 million as he lifted his hands slowly. 4, 5, 6. Big, the dealer announced as his face turned white. He had lost over $20 million in just a few games. The old man who was observing Wang Xian started frowning and turned serious. Bring more chips over. Hurry up, hurry up. Give us our winnings, the group of middle-aged men demanded. Give it to them. The young man's emotionless voice sounded as he looked at the dealer with a sullen face. The dealer nodded and gave them their winnings. Ha, I've won more than $20 million. Wang Xian looked at the young man mockingly and laughed. Wang Xian was typically a humble man. However, if someone was to offend him, he wouldn't be courteous to them. Let's continue. Yes, yes. Let's continue. Hurry up, hurry up. The group of middle-aged men beside Wang Xian were elated. They were looking at Wang Xian as if they were looking at their god of fortune. In just 2 games, some people had won 5 to 600,000. There were even some people who had won a few million. At this moment, the old man walked over and spoke to the dealer. Let me do it. Yes, old Gao. Please. Please. The dealer hurried aside when he heard old Gao. He felt relieved. The old man took up the dice shaker and shook it lightly for a few times. After which, he placed it on the table. Please finalize your bet, the old man said calmly. Wang Xian looked at the old man. The old man was very calm and kept his cool. He must be an expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stepped in now. Wang Xian thought to himself. He scanned through the dice shaker again and took out $5 million. $5 million on small. Why don't you bet more? Zhu Qian asked Wang Xian coldly. It was obvious Zhu Qian knew old Gao. I'm not so certain for this round. Therefore, I'll just be placing a smaller bet. Wang Xian smiled and replied. The group of middle-aged men was slightly surprised. They hesitated for a moment when they saw Wang Xian placing a bet of only $5 million. Eventually, they placed bets that ranged between 100 to 200,000. As the crowd finalized their bets, they looked at the old man. The old man smiled calmly and reached for the cover. Wang Xian focused on the dice inside and saw the dice had changed when the old man held on to the cover. The dice which were originally 1, 1, 3 had changed to 6, 6, 3. My apologies. 6, 6, 3. Big, the old man said with a big smile. Big. Haze. We've lost. It's big. We've lost. The group of middle-aged men standing by the sides felt their hearts aching. Wang Xian's expression remained unchanged. He gestured to the old man, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. The old man smiled. The few young men beside him also grinned and were feeling confident. The old man shook the dice shaker and placed them down slowly once again. Small, $20 million. Wang Xian pushed all his tokens on the small section and smiled confidently. You are really confident, young brother. I will follow you, $500,000. Me too. I placed $1 million. Since this young brother dares to bet $20 million, my $1 million is nothing. The group of middle-aged men increased their bets after seeing Wang Xian bet $20 million for this round. Hee hee. Fine. The old man nodded his head with a smile. He then reached for the cover. Wait a minute. Wang Xian shouted and stood up. The old man frowned slightly and stared at him, feeling puzzled. Let the dealer beside you open it. I don't trust you. Wang Xian stared at the old man with a wide grin and spoke slowly. Old Gao's expression changed slightly as he replied with a solemn voice, what is the difference? There's no difference. However, I just want that dealer to be the one opening it. So? You can't allow it? Or are you hiding something? Wang Xian said to the old man coldly. The old man's expression changed and he stared harshly at Wang Xian. The shaking was completed anyway. It doesn't matter who's the one opening the cover. Since we are the customers, why can't you accede to our request and let the other dealer open it? That's right. It is the same no matter who opens it. Let the dealer at the side open it. The group of middle-aged men picked up Wang Xian's suspicions and made their views heard immediately. Their action of changing dealers in the middle of gambling had already angered some of them. The question on who should open the cover right now would also just be a small matter. If they refused, it would only confirm the young brother's suspicions that something wasn't right. What's the matter? Does it matter who opens the cover? That dealer can open it right away, can't he? That's right. Although their request is slightly troublesome, you are operating a casino cruise. This is just a small request. Those customers who had gathered to see what was happening started to comment. The old man looked at those who were around and his face turned solemn. At this moment, he couldn't forcefully open it. If he did so, it would only prove to the crowd that they were indeed up to something. It would be a disastrous blow to them if news of their casino cruise cheating got out. Old Gao drew a long face and gestured to the dealer beside him. That dealer nodded with a bitter face as he reached to open the cover. His arms were trembling. 2, 3, 4. 9 points. Small. Ha! We won. We won. It's amazing. The group of middle-aged men who had just won were jubilant. The old man walked back to the young man with a troubled face and said, he is skillful. The young man looked extremely displeased and clenched his fist tightly. He stared at Wang Xian harshly and said, young man, it's good to know when to stop. Wang Xian looked back at the young man as he replied coldly, I will leave when I win $800 million to $1 billion. What's the matter? You are operating a casino cruise and you won't let your customer win. If that is the case, you might as well shut it down. Chapter 203, Sunken, 1. When that young man heard what Wang Xian said, cold radiance flashed in his eyes. I just won more than 30 million, and you're stopping me already? What about those people who lost over more than $10 million? Why aren't you stopping them? Do you mean that people can only lose and not win any money here? Wang Xian asked loudly with a disdainful look as he observed the young man's expression. That's right. You let us gamble if we lose our money. But how can you stop us when we're winning some money? I lost more than $5 million last year. Are you stopping us because we're winning? That's right. I saw a wealthy man lose more than 10 million just a few days ago. The audience around them began to speak loudly when they witnessed such a situation. Everyone knew that the chance of losing was more than winning in gambling. But if the casino stopped you from gambling just when you were winning some money, how would you feel? Everyone was displeased as they looked over there and commented. People from the other side of the casino came over out of curiosity when they saw the crowd. The young man was looking awfully embarrassed. Why would we stop you? Our casino can still afford to lose this bit of money, the old man turned to the crowd and said slowly. Since you guys want to play, let's continue then. Carry on. Cold radiance surfaced in the old man's eyes as he took the dice shaker and shook it violently. Pack. When the dice shaker hit the table, the old man said impassively, finalize your bets. Interesting. Wang Xian saw 2 out of 3 dices stacked up together. The dice that was stacked up on top was 1 point while the remaining dice was also 1 point. They added up to 2 points altogether. But given the rules, 3 to 10 points would make a small. There was no betting option for 2 points. Going by this, all betting options were losing options. But Wang Xian continued to bet on the small with 10 million. The middle-aged men and the spectators around the table were tempted as they followed his bet. Get that dealer to open the cover. Wang Xian pointed at the dealer by the side and said. Radiance flickered in the old man's eyes as he signaled the dealer to open the cover. That dealer almost burst into tears as he lifted the cover gently. 2 points, you lose. Ha! When Zhu Qian saw the dice stacking up, he exclaimed with thrills. Damn, why is it 2 points? Is this fucking possible? How did the dice end up stacking up together? Is this cheating? That's right, such a probability is too small. Those customers who had lost burst out with loud voices and grumpy looks on their faces. Wang Xian clapped his hands. Awesome. This old man is simply impressive. I'm sure you didn't learn how to stack all the dice together or crush them into powder just like the movie, did you? Brilliant. As he spoke, his face was full of sarcasm. He continued, let's carry on. I don't believe I'll lose all the time. The old man stared at Wang Xian with surprise. When he saw a group of customers beginning to crowd over, his expression turned wretched. The young man at the side noticed the issue. This fellow obviously knew 2 dice were stacking on each other. But he continued to place a 10 million bet, encouraging the customers around him to follow him. It was okay if the dice stacked once or twice. However, what would the customers who lost their money think when this happened again and again? They could argue that this was absolutely cheating. I'm not sure who you are, but I'm paying you $100 million for you to leave from my gambling cruise and never come back again. The young man had mixed expression as he gritted his teeth and whispered to Wang Xian. Hee, what's the matter? Are you admitting your defeat? Wang Xian looked at the young man scornfully as he drew his lips slightly. Just now, your friend made cheap remarks. I'll not leave without $500 million. You still need to fork over another $100 million to distribute to the customers over here. If you're unwilling to do it, we can continue with the game, Wang Xian said slowly. He did not forget about the customers around him. He just wanted to make the young man feel disgusted. Otherwise, Wang Xian would lose out big time if he just let this young man off after spending 400,000 dragon energy on modifying his eyes. This young man had to pay some price for the 400,000 dragon energy. Brat, don't push your luck. The young man shot up from his seat as he glared at Wang Xian with a pair of cold eyes fuming with murderous intent. I'm pushing my luck. I came here just to have some fun. If it were not for your friend who was rude to my girlfriend while you said you could handle me, do you think I'd be here playing along with you? You want to have a game? Then let's have fair play. Wang Xian stood up and spoke sarcastically to the young man. Upon hearing Wang Xian calling her girlfriend, Lan Qingyue slightly blushed. Immediately, she rolled her eyes at him. Zhu Qian had a rather awful expression on his face when he heard Wang Xian. He stared malevolently at him. Everyone saw that I lost more than 1 million right from the start. Since you guys taunted me, I should take this gamble seriously. Let me continue, or pay all the customers here and me. Then I'll leave. Wang Xian continued to say nonchalantly. I'm out to make them disgusted. The customers around them were looking doubtful, yet hopeful. If the casino is giving away $100 million to them, each of them could get quite a sum of money. Get out of here now, or else I'll make sure you regret it. The young man darkened his expression as he walked to Wang Xian and threatened him. He did not care about the strange looks on the faces of the surrounding customers. Bam, bam, bam. As the young man spoke, the security guards on the cruise ran over with electric batons in their hands. They glared at Wang Xian in a threatening manner. You are chasing and threatening me just because I won $30 million at your place. Ha, you can forget about operating such a gambling cruise from now on. Wang Xian fixed his indifferent eyes on all the people. The surrounding customers pondered slightly when they saw such a situation. Seeing the way that venture handled such cases, they really had to reconsider if they should come here again in the future. If you dare to utter a word again, I can cripple your legs. No one dares to play punk on the turf of Jiang family in Gambling City. The young man stared at him with fiery eyes and an ice-cold expression. Brat, you're here to make trouble, aren't you? Zhu Qian walked over and glared at Wang Xian. I, Zhu Qian from the Zhu family, will make sure you have a miserable ending in the future for offending me. Is this a threat? Wang Xian looked at Zhu Qian and the young man before him with a trace of a smile on his face. If that's the case, let's wait and see. You better remember what you said just now. After Wang Xian finished his sentence, he looked at Lan Qingyue with a smiling face. Let's return to our yacht. Okay. Lan Qingyue nodded her head with a stern look on her face. Xiao Xian, I heard my grandpa mention Jiang family of the Gambling City once before. They are a powerful family. It's okay. Let's go back to the yacht to enjoy the beautiful scenery. The middle-aged captain continued maniacally, the rescue party from our country will need an hour to arrive. We need to get all our customers onto the rescue boat. What? Why would the cruise be flooding suddenly without any premonitions? Why the hell are we flooding? Jiang Tiancheng was flustered after hearing the captain. Sinking cruise. This has to be a joke. This cruise cost close to $1 billion. Furthermore, this cruise had been bought for less than 5 years. If the ship sank, the losses to the Jiang family would not just be $1 billion. They would also lose a gold mine in the sea. Young Master Jiang, we have no idea either. According to the mechanics, 2 holes appeared on the hull out of nowhere. Seawater is surging in through the holes. The displacement rate could not match that of the water. We have approximately half an hour before we sink completely. You should hurry to the escape boat. This cruise is beyond repair. This cruise is beyond repair. Jiang Tiancheng's expression turned gloomy as he heard the last few words of the captain. He clenched his fist tightly. God damn it! Jiang Tiancheng punched the door at the side heavily and left a hole in it. Brother Tiancheng, you should come to my yacht now. Let the crew handle the situation here. Zhu Qian said. His friend and he was shocked by the situation. Young master, let them handle it. Old Gao, who was beside Jiang Tiancheng, spoke solemnly. He looked equally aghast. Let's go. Jiang Tiancheng gritted his teeth. The cruise that he was in charge of was sinking. He would be severely punished when he returned home. Fuck. This damn ship sank when it wasn't even moving. This cruise by the Jiang family is really trash. Damn it, we played here for just 3 days and the ship sank. I heard the venture just threw a person out because he was winning. This is freaking karma. I'm never going to a casino by the Jiang family. What shitty luck they have. The group heard the customers cursing angrily just as they exited the control room. You guys fucking shut your mouth. Jiang Tiancheng growled angrily as he heard the conversations. Fuck, you won't even let us speak. Trash is trash. What is this shitty place? I have to discard the things I've brought along. You better compensate me for that. Although Jiang Tiancheng was in a foul mood, the rest of the customers were unhappy too. They were cursing at Jiang Tiancheng right to his face. Young master, don't be bothered by them. Let's go. Old Gao reminded Jiang Tiancheng. Jiang Tiancheng took a deep breath and barged through the crowd. Brother Tiancheng, let's go. They reached the opposite side while the customers gathered at the exit. No one was left behind. Zhu Qian jumped off the cruise, stepped lightly on the waters and leaped onto the blue yacht at the side. Jiang Tiancheng jumped and followed behind him. When he reached the deck of the yacht, his face was gloomy. As he looked at the sinking cruise, his heart was bleeding. Zhu Qian and his friends remained silent after seeing Jiang Tiancheng's face. This scene would be truly shocking if it appeared in a movie. Wang Xian said from a yacht not far from the scene. He was smiling brightly. How dare you sink our cruise? Go to hell. The old man beside Jiang Tiancheng exuded murderous aura. As he struck, he displayed domineering oppression towards Wang Xian. Half-step to inborn. Not bad. Wang Xian commented with a smile. Whoosh. As Wang Xian spoke, aquatic ropes suddenly shot out from the sea. They moved like flexible serpents as they launched a swift and fierce attack at the old man in the air. The old man had a drastic change in his expression. His entire body jerked as he brandished his palms at the aquatic ropes in the sea. Whoosh! However, more than 100 aquatic ropes surfaced again at this time. Oh no! The old man exhibited a shocked expression as the ropes wrapped around his body. Bam! Water splashed as the half-step to inborn expert was dragged into the sea. The next moment, he was out of sight completely. What? The people on the blue cruise were shocked and they saw the old man disappearing into the sea. Old Gao is a half-step to inborn expert. How could that be possible? A young man revealed an expression of disbelief as he mumbled. Jiang Tiancheng was equally surprised. He lifted his chin and looked fearfully at the young man who was staring back at him. The ocean is my turf. Whoever provokes me, I'll make sure he sinks to the bottom of the sea. Wang Xian glared at the young men before him with a pair of icy cold eyes. No, this has got nothing to do with us. 3 young men were totally freaked out on the cruise. He could sink a 100-meter cruise easily, and make a half-step to inborn expert disappear into the sea in the blink of an eye. Creepy aquatic ropes and freaky means. They retreated to the back as they pleaded for mercy. Zhu Qian and Jiang Tiancheng were trembling. They seemed to have seen a devil laughing when they saw that young fellow displaying a beaming face. Get into the sea, said Wang Xian to them. Boom! After he finished his sentence, the entire cruise sank to the bottom of the sea without warning. I was wrong. Please let me off. Please don't kill. Jiang Tiancheng and Zhu Qian blurted out with fearful voices, but they quickly came to an abrupt end. The ocean waves surged and combed, bringing about little ripples in the sea before it restored to a peaceful state. Wang Xian exhibited a nonchalant look. If others leave me alone, I'll leave them alone too. But if they provoke me, I'll pay them back tenfold. This was Wang Xian's principle. What a spoilsport! After Wang Xian dealt with the few fellows, he lost all interest. He only displayed a smile when he watched the sinking venture. Constructing the Dragon Palace required a large amount of steel and metal. Just nice. This cruise, weighing 100 tons, could provide a huge amount of resources. Wang Xian cast a look before he walked into the yacht. Shao Xian, wait for another 10 minutes. I'll be done soon, said Lan Qingyue smilingly when she saw Wang Xian walking in. Sure. Wang Xian nodded as he sat on the sofa and waited with a beaming face. Here, try my cooking. Chapter 206, Separating the Dragonians. Xiao Xian, thank you. I've really enjoyed myself today. I need to go now, and don't forget our promise. On the beach, Lan Qingyue bade goodbye to Wang Xian joyously before leaving in a car. Wang Xian grinned while looking at her disappearing back view. After which, he walked slowly back to his villa. 3 days. Wang Xian had accompanied Lan Qingyue on the seas for 3 days. And in those 3 days, he had increased his level to level 7 and gathered 30% of the materials required for the Dragon Palace. He would just need 70% of the materials to complete the Dragon Palace. Let's go to the medical hall. Over the last 2 days, there had been more than a dozen people from the hospital or individuals who had contacted him for treatment. This was a lot more than usual. As Wang Xian had been on the seas, he had rejected all of them. After riding his heavy-duty motorcycle to the medical hall, Wang Xian opened up the shop. After which, he switched on his computer and entered the Underworld website to check out the latest news. My ranking on the Miracle Doctor's chart has gone up. When Wang Xian came across the Miracle Doctor's chart, he clicked out of curiosity. His ranking had been 18th in the past. At this moment, it had risen to 11th. At the back of the Miracle Doctor's chart, there was a new comment. Increased ranking to 11th, as he cured the son of Ji Yuankuan from Flow City. So this is because I cured the son of Maniac Ji. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. After which, he clicked into the interactive news page and continued his browsing. Dragon Sect of Rivertown. A surprising thread appeared on the forum page which Wang Xian clicked hesitantly. First-class force from Rivertown, Dragon Sect. Maniac Ji from Flow City annihilated the tyrannical sword, Lu family of Hailing Province under the invitation of Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown. Dragon Sect officially appeared in front of the public. Dragon Sect of Rivertown has an inborn expert and a dozen level 8 and level 9 martial artists. The exact strength of the Dragon Sect is unknown. The introduction in this thread wasn't complete and only had a few descriptions. The annihilation of the tyrannical sword, Lu family, caused a huge ruckus in the neighboring provinces. Among which, news relating to Dragon Sect and Miracle Dr. Wang of Rivertown had also attracted the attention of many people. It seems like the people of the underworld still don't know that I'm the one who established the Dragon Sect. Wang Xian was slightly surprised and continued browsing for a while. Miracle Dr. Wang. At this moment, a figure approached Wang Xian silently. Wang Xian turned around and nodded his head at Maniac Ji. Maniac Ji placed a bag beside him and said, "These are spiritual stones. A total of 120 pieces." Oh. So many of them. Wang Xian took up the bag in shock. However, when he saw the spiritual stones in it, a satisfied look appeared on his face. I accepted a great mission and earned some spiritual stones from it. Maniac Ji showed a faint smile and continued, in half a month, if everything goes as planned, I should be getting 200 more pieces. Wang Xian looked at Maniac Ji in astonishment. What kind of mission is it to give 200 spiritual stones as a reward? Collecting a level 5 spiritual medicine. There's a strong guarding monster beside that spiritual medicine. As long as I can get the spiritual medicine, I will be able to get 200 spiritual stones as a reward. Maniac Ji grinned. Goodbye, Miracle Dr. Wang. Feel free to instruct me as you wish. Wang Xian nodded his head. Looking at the spiritual stones in his hand, he hesitated for a moment. Building the Dragon Palace would require 10,000 pieces of spiritual stones. Currently, he had over 100 pieces. Moreover, these were all given to him by Maniac Ji. If I sell all my spiritual medicine, I should be able to get approximately 2,000 pieces of spiritual stones. If I breed more spiritual medicine, I will have gathered 10,000 pieces of spiritual stones in 1 to 2 years. This is still too slow. Wang Xian pondered. Since Maniac Ji can obtain so many spiritual stones through missions, why don't I let the Dragonians of Dragon sect out to earn spiritual stones? With the current strength of the Dragonians, they are easily among the cream of the crop in the underworld. Wang Xian made up his mind. Dragon sect was supposed to serve the Dragon Palace after all. Letting them out to complete missions could also accelerate the process of building the Dragon Palace. Moreover, only through more battles could the Dragonians get even stronger. In that case, I should send all the Dragonians out. Hopefully, they will be able to make a name for themselves. Wang Xian thought, and his lips curved into a smile. He wasn't fond of the idea of exposing his force, but the Dragon sect had now been discovered by the public. In that case, he should separate the Dragonians and let them pursue their own paths. It's fine if they choose to go alone or develop their own influence. He did not want the Dragonians to simply stay within the base. If he required manpower in the future, the dispersed Dragonians would return to obey his orders as he commanded. Great, great. The Dragonians are pretty strong now. It's a waste that they are staying within the base the whole time. If I let them roam the underworld, they would be even stronger in the future. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and looked forward to the arrival of that day. The day when various forces would gather with a command from him. Having made his decision, Wang Xian summoned Mo Qinglong. In less than 20 minutes, Mo Qinglong appeared within the Divine Dragon Medical Hall. Dragon King. Mo Qinglong's burly figure bowed respectfully at Wang Xian as he greeted him. Huh? Wang Xian was slightly shocked when he saw Mo Qinglong's left shoulder. Why is your arm injured? Wang Xian asked in a solemn tone. It's the people from Sacred Seas of Swords. A ship came near our island yesterday. An old man on it questioned us, asking if it was us who had killed Yan Feng. He was arrogant and therefore I killed that old fool and everyone that was with him. Mo Qinglong replied dimly. Sacred Seas of Swords. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. He naturally knew about the Sacred Seas of Swords. Yan Feng of the Yan family was a disciple of the Sacred Seas of Swords. His master was an inborn expert. The news of Yan family being eliminated and Yan Feng being killed had reached the people of the Sacred Seas of Swords. Moreover, only the newly emerged first-class force, Dragon Sect, could possibly eliminate the Yan family and kill Yan Feng in Rivertown. What good timing! Wang Xian hesitated for a moment. He waved his arm and instantly cured Mo Qinglong's injuries. I happen to have an idea in mind to disperse the Dragonians and let them move freely. Alternatively, they can move in teams of 3 to 5 people while roaming the underworld and collecting spiritual stones. They can establish their own forces or rule over an area. They are free to do what they want, but are not allowed to kill the innocent. Staying in the base would be a waste of their talents. Let's give them the opportunity to roam the world. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded his head. Dragon King, what about me? Let me accompany you and be your butler. Mo Qinglong smiled. All right. Wang Xian thought for a while before nodding his head. However, he soon frowned and commented, however, many know about your appearance now. This will be a little troublesome. Dragon King, I can alter my appearance. As Mo Qinglong finished his words, he shook his body. The wrinkles on his face slowly faded, making him look a dozen years younger. A 40-year-old looking middle-aged man appeared in front of Wang Xian. He looked completely different from before. Since I have reached the inborn realm and obtained the bloodline of the Dragon King, I have regained my youth. It is just that I didn't think this was necessary and therefore maintained my previous appearance. Mo Qinglong's voice sounded a lot younger too as he explained deferentially to Wang Xian. Ha, great. You shall follow me in the future. Let Mo Yuan keep in contact with the rest of the Dragonians. Seeing the appearance of Mo Qinglong, Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. His decision to separate the Dragonians now would surely allow him to summon an unstoppable force with a command in the future. Wang Xian looked forward to that day and was interested in what the Dragonians would be able to achieve. The seas are my world and I'll conquer it bit by bit. As for the underworld, I'll leave it to the Dragonians. Chapter 207, Not any doctor could be called a miracle doctor, 1. Brother, are you going out for a few days? Sister-in-law wants me to tell you that you can bring Lan Qingyue here for a gathering after you're back. The next morning, Xiaoyu told this to Wang Xian after her breakfast, as Mo Qinglong stood beside Wang Xian, who had a chest in his hand. The entire river town, even the southern province, knew that Wang Xian had exterminated Lu family. Xiaoyu heard about it naturally. When she found out, she parted her lips slightly with a face full of surprises. She went to chat with Guan Shuqing. Through various devious questions, she realized that Guan Shuqing did not mind about all this. She did not seem to oppose it. Xiaoyu was speechless. Hence, she recognized that she might have two sisters-in-law in the future. Okay, you'll accompany Shuqing tomorrow during your break. Wang Xian had nothing to say as he nodded with a smile. Sure, brother. Rest assured that I will take good care of sister-in-law. Xiaoyu said playfully. Wang Xian patted her head helplessly. I'm off. I should be back in 3 to 4 days. Okay, Sister Li will be here with us tomorrow too. Xiaoyu waved her hand as she gave him the cold shoulder. With Wang Xian's current status in Rivertown, Sister Li's husband, father, and mother-in-law treated her like something precious. Apart from her owning all of their family assets, Wang Xian's current status was also one of the reasons why her father and mother-in-law dared not make things difficult for her. Instead, they had to treat her with care. With such a daughter-in-law in the Wei family, the family had turned supreme in the Rivertown. Old Mo, can you drive? Asked Wang Xian to Mo Qinglong when he walked out of the villa. Yes, young master. Great, let's get a car after we're back. Wang Xian smiled as he spoke. They took a cab to Deep Sea Jewelry Building. Xiao Xian. Lan Qingyue wore a red dress today, and it was evident that she was in high spirits. A middle-aged man was following beside her. He was an uncle of Lan Qingyue. Wang Xian had seen him once at the Qin family's banquet. You look beautiful today. Wang Xian praised her with a smile. Miracle Dr. Wang, hello. Thank you for going with us. Lan Qingyue's uncle immediately walked to Wang Xian and spoke eagerly with respect. You're welcome. Wang Xian gestured with a hand and a smiling face. He looked at Lan Qingyue. How do we get there? We're heading to the international airport at Flow City. Let's go. With Lan Qingyue's leading, they reached the airport. They took a private jet of Lan family to the airport at Flow City before they transferred to the capital of Jade Nation. It will only take 3 hours from Flow City to Jade Nation. The journey is quite fast. I went there once and the scenery there was breathtaking. There are also many huge mountains. Lan Qingyue walked shoulder to shoulder with Wang Xian as she introduced Jade Nation happily to him. Oh, really? This is my first time going abroad. Wang Xian smiled and said. I went there once with my dad. There are a lot of mountains. One of them was Jade King Mountain Range. 50% of the world's jade stones came from there. It was beautiful next to the Jade King Mountain Range. They dug holes in the mountain and some reside there. Some even opened shops there. It's quite interesting. We can visit that place when the time comes, Lan Qingyue explained to him joyously. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Qingyue, it's our boarding time. Let's go over. While Lan Qingyue and Wang Xian were chatting, Lan Quanfeng came over and informed them. Let's go. Lan Qingyue smiled and nodded as she headed to the first-class cabin. They boarded the plane. Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue were sitting far from each other due to a large number of people in the first-class cabin. One sat at the front, and the other one sat at the back. The first-class seats were comfortable sofas with two attached together in a row. Mo Qinglong's seat was not far away from Wang Xian, but they were not sitting next to each other. Wang Xian came to his seat while the rest of the passengers strolled into the cabin slowly. I'm sure Master will be able to cure the leader of Gordonwei and complete his mission this time. I'm sure he can. Our Master made a breakthrough in his medical skills recently. His rank on the Miracle Doctor's chart has seen improvements. A 500 spiritual stones reward. The Gordonwei family is really wealthy. Junior sister, this is your first time out with our master. If you are unsure of anything, let me know. At this time, conversations in whispers were heard next to him. Wang Xian spun his head around, and he was slightly stunned to see a few young men and a pretty woman walking over. It's her. Wang Xian's face revealed a hint of surprise. Junior sister, your seat is here. Let me see if I can exchange my seat with the one beside yours. A solicitous voice was heard. Subsequently, Wang Xian heard, Hey handsome, can you swap your seat with me? Wang Xian lifted his head as he looked at the young man beside Dr. Sunday. The young man was about 27 or 28 years old. He was wearing a white shirt, and he had an extremely fair complexion. The young man asked and looked at Wang Xian at this time. Dr. Sun was left without any choice. But when she saw Wang Xian, she froze for a moment. Surprise and shock flashed in her eyes. Wang Xian put out his palm and pointed to some stuff in front of him. He declined, sorry. Please. The young man flashed a smile and continued to be a gentleman. He took out his wallet before he pulled out a stack of $100 notes and handed them to Wang Xian. Wang Xian shook his head and smiled. Miracle Dr. Wang. At this time, Dr. Sun quickly sat in the seat beside Wang Xian and chatted with him. What a coincidence. I didn't expect to see you here. Yes. What a coincidence. Are you heading to Jade Nation too? Wang Xian asked Dr. Sun curiously. Dr. Sun was a doctor in one of the city hospitals. Previously, Dr. Sun came with some patients who were sent over by the hospitals too. However, she did not turn up in the previous 2 times. He did not ask for the reason either. Now, they actually ran into each other on a flight. From their conversations just now, it seemed like Dr. Sun had gotten herself a new master. Yes, I'm going to the Jade Nation with my master and the rest. Dr. Sun nodded with a smile. What are the chances of us meeting each other here? Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. The white shirt man and 2 other young men were standing next to them with a surprised look. When the white shirt man saw Dr. Sun's surprised and zealous expressions, he put an annoyed expression on his face. He tried to get into the good book of Dr. Sun in every possible way. But she remained lukewarm to him. Yet, she displayed a zealous attitude to this young fellow and even addressed him as Miracle Dr. Wang. Junior sister, is he a doctor too? The white shirt man asked with a darkened expression. Not any doctor could be called a miracle doctor. He is incredible. Dr. Sun rebutted him immediately. She had just gotten herself a miracle doctor as her master a few days ago. Hence, she knew nothing about the underworld. She did not even know about the miracle doctor ranking chart. All she knew was that Wang Xian was incredible. Chapter 208, No doctor could be called a miracle doctor, 2. Incredible. Is he as incredible as our master? In fact, is he even more incredible than us? The white-shirt young man revealed a disdainful expression. How incredible can a brat be? What's a miracle doctor? Only those that ranked in the top 30s on the Miracle Doctors chart could be called Miracle Doctors. As for the rest, they are at most renowned doctors. The white-shirt young man continued proudly, "Junior sister, your medical skills might be great in the hospital but are still far from average in the medical circle. When you learn more about medical techniques, you will then understand what real miracle doctors are." The title of miracle doctor shouldn't be used carelessly. Only people like our master, who ranked 15 on the Miracle Doctors chart, are qualified to be called a miracle doctor, the white-shirt young man said to Dr. Sun in an educating tone. Dr. Sun frowned and retorted, "Miracle Dr. Wang is indeed very incredible. Even the doctors from the Sacred Followers Guild are defeated by Miracle Dr. Wang in medical techniques." Seeing Dr. Sun rebut him again, the white-shirt young man replied angrily, "The Sacred Followers Guild is indeed really incredible. However, they have more than 200 followers. Among them, some followers have great medical skills. However, they will at most be considered renowned doctors. Master once said that if the few of us take part in the assessment of the Sacred Followers Guild, we have a high chance of passing it." "Oh." Dr. Sun swallowed her words and couldn't retort. After all, her experiences were too far from those miracle doctors or the Sacred Followers Guild. She didn't understand them well and didn't know how to rebut. "I really didn't expect you to be a renowned doctor. Let's spar when we have the opportunity," the white-shirt young man said coldly to Wang Xian. It was clear that he had seen Wang Xian as a rival in love. Wang Xian maintained his smile throughout and didn't say a word. Their master ranked 15 on the Miracle Doctors chart, while he ranked 11th. Clearly, he wasn't completely convinced of the ranking on the Miracle Doctors chart. With his current strength, he was confident to even challenge the number 1 on the chart. However, this was only his conjecture. Those who stood at the top of the ranking chart would definitely not be simple. TSK. You are pretty arrogant to answer when one addresses you as Miracle Doctor, the white-shirt young man remarked sarcastically after seeing that Wang Xian wasn't answering him. Why aren't you guys in your seats? What are you guys standing here for? At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from the back. An old man walked over and spoke to the group of young men. Master, it's nothing much. We are just chatting with junior sister and a renowned doctor, the white-shirt young man immediately bowed and explained. Oh. A doctor? The old man looked confused and turned his attention to the female disciple he had just taken in. Master, this is a very incredible doctor that I met in Rivertown. Dr. Sun could see the doubts on her master's face and immediately explained. After getting to know more about the medical circle, she didn't dare to address Wang Xian as miracle doctor carelessly. Just an arrogant small doctor who claims to be a miracle doctor, the white-shirt young man standing by the side quickly added. One should really not claim to be a miracle doctor rashly. The old man nodded his head slowly. The title of miracle doctor represents the cream of the crop in the medical realm. Any rascal who impersonates a miracle doctor will suffer a terrible death. Rascal. When the white-shirt young man heard his master, he looked at Wang Xian mockingly. Guanghua. At this moment, Wang Xian recalled a name when he saw the old man. Huh? The old man was taken aback and looked at Wang Xian in surprise. The white-shirt young man also looked at Wang Xian with surprise. Brat, you are not qualified to call my master by the name. Rivertown? Wang Xian. Miracle Dr. Wang. The old man pondered and tried to probe further. It's my honor to meet you. Wang Xian smiled faintly and nodded his head. He clearly knew about the Miracle Doctor's chart, as he had gone through the top 30 on the chart. Guanghua, 65 years old, a factionless doctor. A factionless doctor was similar to what Wang Xian was at this moment. They were not affiliated to any forces. On the Miracle Doctor's chart, factionless doctors were few. The Sacred Followers Guild and Medical Saints sect took up 80% of the Miracle Doctor's chart. This was also why the two saint sects were so strong. Guang Hua had been a traveling doctor since the 1970s and 1980s. He had been to the majority of the country by feet. During the journey, his medical skills achieved a breakthrough and he had reached the 15th spot on the Miracle Doctor's chart. One would consider him to be a miracle doctor with a unique background. Wang Xian had a lot of respect for him. Sorry for not recognizing you. I had not expected to meet Miracle Dr. Wang here. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua immediately greeted him and started observing this absurdly young Miracle Dr. Wang. He was still rather curious about a 20-year-old juvenile who had made it to the 11th spot on the ranking chart. The interests were exacerbated by the fact that Wang Xian seemed to be a factionless doctor too. Bai Song, is this how you should talk to Miracle Dr. Wang? Where are your manners? Apologize to him immediately. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua looked at his disciple and chided him. The white-shirt young man was stunned as he stared at Wang Xian in disbelief. Suddenly, he felt a chill down his spine. Recalling the recent news on Miracle Dr. Wang from Rivertown, fear started welling up. Miracle Dr. Wang, I'm really sorry. It's my fault that I did not recognize a distinguished person like you. Please forgive me. Wang Xian simply waved his hand at him and didn't pay attention to him after. A petty person like him wasn't worth his time. What a coincidence, Miracle Dr. Wang. Xiao Xiu, go and sit at my seat. I'd like to have a good chat with Miracle Dr. Wang. Yes, Master. Dr. Sun was dumbfounded. She immediately stood up and left. The white-shirt young man also went to his seat immediately. His eyes would turn to where Wang Xian was from time to time. That white-shirt young man's forehead was covered with perspiration. Under no circumstance would he have expected that juvenile to be the 11th-ranked Miracle Dr. Wang who was in the limelight recently. This was a ranking even higher than his master. Recalling what he had done and what he had just said, he felt a chill down his spine once again. Senior brother, is Miracle Dr. Wang famous? Dr. Sun sat in her master's seat and asked inquisitively. The white-shirt young man didn't answer. His face had turned as white as a sheet. The other young man sitting beside him nodded his head bitterly. He's incredible and he currently ranked 11th on the Miracle Doctor's chart. Even higher than our master. Dr. Sun's eyes popped open as he looked to Wang Xian in admiration. Miracle Dr. Wang has also accepted the mission from the leader of Gordonway. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua asked. Nope, I don't know about this mission. Could Miracle Dr. Guang Hua shed some light on it? Wang Xian shook his head and asked. He. Sure. This is an open mission in the underworld and everyone can see it. The leader of Gordonway, Jade Nation, ran into some issues while cultivating. Jade Nation has always been behind in the medical field. Therefore, he invited miracle doctors from all over the world to treat him. As long as you rank in the top 100 in the world's miracle doctors chart, you will get 10 pieces of spiritual stone even if you can't cure him. If you can cure him, the reward will be 500 pieces of spiritual stone. I've brought my disciples along to give it a try. Chapter 209, Gathering of Miracle Doctors, 1. After Miracle Dr. Guang Hua's explanation, Wang Xian finally understood the entire mission completely. The leader of Gordonway led a significant family in Jade Nation. They were considered to be powerful and mighty in the Jade Nation. The leader of Gordonway was an inborn expert. Something went wrong during his cultivation, so he was seeking medical treatment from the miracle doctors around the world. Jade Nation was only a small and poor country. The Gordonway family possessed 3 to 4 inborn experts. Hence, they were a colossus in the Jade Nation. As they were situated at the Jade King mountain range, they were rich, especially with spiritual stones. All the spiritual stones were dug out from the stone mines. They were generous to give away 10 spiritual stones to those top 100 doctors from the global ranking who made a trip here. If the doctors were to sell the spiritual stones, they could easily fetch a price of $100 million. Gordonway family had deep pockets. I heard that many domestic miracle doctors took up this mission. After all, 500 spiritual stones were quite attractive, said Miracle Dr. Guang Hua with a beaming face. Wang Xian nodded in agreement. Getting spiritual stones was difficult. Not everyone possessed a strength like Maniac Ji who could earn spiritual stones at such a fast rate. It was not easy for an average level 7 to 9 martial artists to earn a piece of spiritual stone. Miracle Doctor was considered to be one of the highest paying occupations. Miracle Dr. Wang, why don't you join us for fun since you're here? Even if you can't treat him, you will at least get 10 spiritual stones as a consolation prize. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua said with a smile. Sure. Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. 500 spiritual stones was attractive enough for him to work. We'll be going over. At that time, we can take a look at the top doctors from the world, Miracle Dr. Guang Hua said, smiling. Wang Xian nodded and began to chit-chat with Miracle Dr. Guang Hua. Perhaps Miracle Dr. Guang Hua did not have many interactions with miracle doctors that were of the same level as him. Hence, he was rather chatty. Wang Xian also liked his personality. As such, both of them had a great time chatting. The plane took off, heading to Jade Nation. 3 hours later, the plane landed at the international airport of Jade Nation's capital. Qingyue, I want to tell you something. Wang Xian came to Lan Qingyue and said apologetically. What is it? Lan Qingyue looked at him with doubts. I probably can't keep you company for today and tomorrow. I've got something going on. Wang Xian scratched his head as he spoke. Her. Lan Qingyue looked at him with consternation. Just now, I met Miracle Dr. Guang Hua, ranked 15th on the Miracle Doctors chart. He took a mission, and I wanted to check it out with him. So. You're really unreliable. Lan Qingyue interrupted his words as she rolled her eyes at him with a sulky face. I'm going to earn some money. I'll look for you as soon as I'm done, and I'll bring you some top-grade jade stones. Wang Xian immediately promised. Fine. Lan Qingyue pouted and nodded. Heh. Wang Xian let out an awkward smile as he walked Lan Qingyue out of the airport and waved to her. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua, let's go. Wang Xian came to Miracle Dr. Guang Hua and said. A car sent by Gordonway is waiting for us outside. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua nodded as he took the lead. The white-shirt young man who was following behind saw Wang Xian tagging along. Hence, he was well-behaved and did not dare to utter a word. 2 luxury vehicles were waiting outside of the airport. Wang Xian, together with Mo Qinglong, got in the car. Instead of the city center, the car traveled towards the mountains in the distance. Just like what Lan Qingyue had mentioned, Jade Nation had many towering and magnificent mountains. There were endless mountains along the way. This is Jade King Mountain Range, which stretches for a few hundred kilometers. It is the largest mountain in Jade Nation. All the jade stones in Jade Nation were mined from this mountain. The Gordonway family is located just beside Jade King Mountain Range. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua introduced this place to Wang Xian, as he had some knowledge of it. The scenery is extravagant here. Wang Xian looked at the surroundings with smiles. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua chuckled. The caves that they reside in are more interesting. After a 30-minute ride, the cars stopped beside a green mountain in the Jade King Mountain Range. Please follow me. The driver got out of the vehicle and led the way before them. Wang Xian followed him as he looked ahead. It was a large village with a stone at the entrance engraved with some Jade Nation words on it. At the entrance, 5 young men were standing there with guns in their hands. The leader of Gordonway was holding a general position in Jade Nation. Hence, they had troops stationed at this place. Upon entering, it was a small village. Their dressing was much of the same as the people in China. They followed the driver to a huge mountain. Wang Xian noticed that the entire mountain had been excavated with windows on the outside, just like ordinary buildings. Not many people in Jade Nation reside in the caves of Jade King Mountain Range. Only a few significant families and businessmen carry on with this type of lifestyle. Upon seeing Wang Xian's curious look, Miracle Dr. Guang Hua explained to him. Wang Xian nodded and went into the mountain. There was a huge hall, about 1,000 square meters in size. The interior was decorated to give a luxurious vibe. Pieces of beast's fur were hung up on the wall as ornaments. But the lighting appliances were all in modern style. The entire hall gave an alternative aesthetic. Tsk tisk, it's indeed the top family in the country. Wang Xian swept his gaze around and exclaimed slightly. The cave houses of Jade Nation were comparable to the castles in Europe. At this moment, quite a number of people were gathered in the hall. They were all seated around in chairs. Wang Xian looked around. He noticed that not only Asians were here, but there were also Europeans and Americans. Poison Doc is here too. A shocked voice came out from the mouth of Miracle Dr. Guang Hua. Wang Xian looked over and saw a scrawny old man sitting on the sofa. A black, poisonous snake was couching on his hand, which made him look frightening. Poison Doc. Wang Xian thought of the Miracle Doctor ranked 9th on the Miracle Doctor chart. Poison Doc Yen. She was an elder of the Sacred Followers Guild. Not only was he proficient in medical skills, but he also possessed inborn strength. There is Miracle Doctor Blood Man from Europe. But I'm not sure who that is. That's Holy Priest from the Holy Sect. His medical skills must be known as strong to become a Holy Priest. The Miracle Doctor Yin-yang from Island Country is here too. Looks like we have lots of compelling characters gathered here. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua swept his gaze around with a surprised look. Wang Xian looked over and traced all the Miracle Doctors one by one. Blood Man of Europe was similar to a vampire. They could enhance their strength with the energy from fresh blood. The Miracle Doctor Yin-yang from Island Country was a Yin and Yang master, originating from China. The skills were developed and expanded in the Island Country. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang was a renowned doctor over there. The 500 spiritual stones were really attractive. Wang Xian looked around him and pondered to himself. However, Wang Xian was determined to get those 500 spiritual stones. Chapter 210, Gathering of Miracle Doctors. 2. Let me express my gratitude to all miracle doctors from all around the world for gathering at Gordonway. Wang Xian and Miracle Dr. Guang Hua sat in the chairs and waited for more than half an hour. Finally, a middle-aged man walked out and expressed his gratitude to the crowd. Just as the middle-aged man finished his sentence, a middle-aged Caucasian shouted, "Let's skip the pleasantries. Bring us to the leader of Gordonway. We have prepared a banquet for everyone. In that case, let's push that back. However, we will be giving out part of the remuneration first." The middle-aged man wasn't angered by the middle-aged Caucasian at all. Instead, he clapped his hands as he remarked. Those that had come were miracle doctors from all over the world. Some of these miracle doctors had strength that wasn't inferior to the Gordonway family. Therefore, they weren't acting too deferentially. Naturally, as a powerful and influential force, the wealth of the Gordonway family wasn't something that the miracle doctors could possibly match. Various beautiful ladies carried a plate and walked towards the crowd of miracle doctors. On each plate, there was a bag with 10 pieces of spiritual stones in it. After getting part of the remuneration, all the other miracle doctors were clearly looking more patient. Since everyone is so anxious, follow me, the middle-aged man said to the crowd. There were a total of 15 miracle doctors. If their disciples or subordinates were included, there were a total of more than 40 people. The crowd followed behind the middle-aged man. Pervert. At this moment, Wang Xian heard a very soft voice from his side. He was slightly shocked and looked to Dr. Sun, who was beside her, immediately. He saw Dr. Sun frown and look at the two people beside her with disdain. Wang Xian followed her gaze and noticed that the pale-looking middle-aged Caucasian was staring fervently at Dr. Sunday. At the other end, an old man was frowning and staring at Dr. Sun intensely. The first man was Miracle Dr. Blood Man and the second man was Holy Priest. Wang Xian was confused. Logically speaking, considering their status, even if Dr. Sun was extremely alluring, they shouldn't be staring at her so intensely. He looked at Dr. Sun but didn't find anything strange. "Everyone, please come in." At this moment, the crowd passed through a tunnel and entered a cave. This was clearly a cave for cultivation. In the cave, an old man was sitting in the center. Within the cave, thousands of spiritual stones were embedded in the surroundings. All the miracle doctors who stepped into the cave were shocked to witness this. The cave was extremely warm. It was at least 40 degrees Celsius. Within the cave, the most eye-catching thing was a pangolin beside the old man. This was a pangolin that was close to 3 meters long. It had bright red scales and emitted savage vibes. "Thank you, everyone, for coming." The old man opened his eyes slowly and looked at the surrounding crowd. "Greetings, leader of Gordonway." The surrounding miracle doctors greeted the old man. The old man in front of them was an extremely strong inborn expert. As the leader of the top family in Jade Nation, his strength wasn't something that an ordinary inborn expert could match. "Everyone. I'm sure you guys know about my condition. I'd like to invite you to take a look right now," the leader of Gordonway said slowly. "Let me go first," the 21st ranked miracle doctor on the domestic miracle doctors chart said. "Please." The leader of Gordonway nodded his head. "Excuse me for my intrusion." That middle-aged miracle doctor nodded his head. As he waved his arm, a silver thread flew out and wrapped around the wrist of the old man. The leader of Gordonway did not dodge and simply allowed himself to be caught by the silver thread. The middle-aged man placed a finger on the silver and shut his eyes slightly. Soon, he frowned. The silver thread extended and wrapped around the body of the leader of Gordonway gradually. However, after going around him twice, he still did not discover any abnormalities. The middle-aged man was clearly disappointed. "Please pardon my incompetence. I'm unable to help." Silver thread inspection technique of the 21st ranked miracle doctor can accurately detect various kinds of injuries. It's surprising that he couldn't detect any abnormalities. Miracle Dr. Guanghua let out a silent sigh. Silver thread inspection was an extremely powerful ability in the medical techniques of China. Dr. Sun was stunned by what she had seen. Such unbelievable techniques had truly opened her horizons. "Let me give it a try." Seeing that the middle-aged man had backed down, Holy Priest walked ahead with a wooden rod in his hand. Waving his wooden rod, pure white energy entered the body of the leader of Gordonway. The Holy Priest frowned and commented, "My light hasn't detected any darkness. The leader of Gordonway should be." That's what many other miracle doctors have said. The leader of Gordonway looked up to the Holy Priest. His eyes were clearly fatigued as he commented, "Whenever I cultivate, I will sense my internal energy going berserk. In fact, I have to constantly restrict the powers in my body right now." That Holy Priest frowned and shook his head. After this, he backed down. What many people did not notice was that when the Holy Priest released his light, Dr. Sun's body shimmered. "Let me give it a try, hee." The pale-looking middle-aged Caucasian took a step forward. Moving his finger, blood that emitted a black aura appeared in his hand. "I'll have to trouble the leader of Gordonway to open your mouth." The leader of Gordonway nodded his head. He knew about the treatment technique of Miracle Dr. Blood Man. The blood that emitted a black aura entered the old man's body through the mouth. Soon it entered his heart and into every part of his blood vessels. "Huh?" The middle-aged Miracle Dr. Blood Man frowned. He stretched his hand forward and the blood flew out from the mouth of the leader of Gordonway. Miracle Dr. Bloodman shook his head, clearly looking disappointed. Following which, another 5 to 6 miracle doctors stood out and exhibited their unique skills. However, everyone ended frowning. No one had discovered where the issue was. If they couldn't even identify the source of the illness, how were they going to devise a treatment method? The leader of Gordonway wasn't looking great. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua gave it a try, but the attempt turned out to be futile. In the end, only Wang Xian, the 8th-ranked poison doc, and Miracle Dr. Yin-yang from Japan were left. Let me give it a try. The poison doc took 2 steps forward. The black poisonous snake that was wrapped around him lifted its head and started hissing. SSSSSSSSS. The poisonous snake leaped and jumped beside the old man who was 3 meters away. As it stuck out its tongue, its blood-red eyes stared constantly at the leader of Gordonway. Poison Doc from China, I have long heard of you, the old man said to the poison document. That's just a superficial name. Poison Doc replied emotionlessly while keeping his eyes on his poison snake. SSSSSS. The black poisonous snake went around the old man. Suddenly, its vision shifted to the pangolin. SSSSSS. Suddenly, the pangolin stuck out its tongue and emitted a horrifying aura. SSSSSS. The black poisonous snake was shocked and slithered back to the poison dock in fear. Xiao Jia, don't move, the old man said gently to the pangolin. SSS. The crowd gasped and looked at the pangolin in shock. The aura it emitted in that instant was that of an inborn expert. The poison doc looked a little embarrassed and shook his head helplessly. China's medical techniques are only so. A mocking voice sounded which irked Poison Doc and Miracle Dr. Guang Hua. Wang Xian wasn't paying attention to the mockery. Within his eyes, blue and red light alternated. His eyes shifted to a direction as he revealed a faint smile. Victory was in his hands. Chapter 211, Conspiracy, 1. The art of yin and yang originated from China. The so-called miracle Dr. Yin-yang was relying on our ancestors' skills. You're from a small country. Even King Sanhe would not dare to be brazen. How dare Qi Shi, who is ranked only 49th on the global ranking, speak gibberish here? Poison Doc, Guang Hua, and the rest of the miracle doctors looked coldly at the miracle Dr. Yin-yang from the island country. Tisk, Poison Doc is ranked 31, and my ranking is 49. But looks like someone claimed a higher position without any strength today. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang spoke sarcastically. He turned to look at the leader of Gordonway. Since the 5 to 6 Chinese miracle doctors can't identify the source of the illness, I guess you can only leave this to me. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang, you've got a solution. The leader of Gordonway looked at the miracle Dr. Yin-yang, who was full of confidence, with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. All the miracle doctors stared at miracle Dr. Yin-yang with doubts on their faces. Poison Doc, Guang Hua, and the rest watched with darkened expressions. I'm 80% confident. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang exhibited a confident look. He swept his gaze across Poison Doc, Guang Hua, and the rest. With a swing, a gust of black and white air darted out from a bell. The black and white stream of gas flew towards the leader of Gordonway. Everyone observed the cloud of black and white fog doubtfully. Slowly, the black and white fog encompassed the leader of Gordonway. Leader of Gordonway, please keep a distance away from your pangolin. The heat energy emitted from its body will greatly affect my yin-yang cloud. After all, that pangolin is an inborn animal. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang instructed leader of Gordonway nonchalantly. Okay, he nodded. Xiao Jia, go to that corner. SSS. The 3-meter-sized pangolin nodded its head just like a human. It then went to a corner and kept still. Boundless yin and yang expel evil spirits. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang let out a soft bellow, and the cloud of black and white fog spun slowly around the leader of Gordonway. I studied a little on the art of yin and yang. According to historical records, Miracle Dr. Yin-yang will use rituals, talismans, and chantings to get rid of evil spirits. This is the first time I've heard of the yin-yang clouds. Poison Doc Yen. She stared at the cloud of black and white air with flickering eyes. Ignorant people. What do you know about my medical skills? She scorned at Poison Doc and continued, today, I'll show you bunch of ignorant fellows. Ha! The yin-yang clouds spun rapidly at this time. This scene was much more spectacular than the means displayed by those miracle doctors just now. My internal energy is no longer in unrest. I no longer need to suppress my internal energy. Just when everyone was in disbelief, the leader of Gordonway who was in the clouds exclaimed excitedly. He stood up immediately and looked at Qi with thrills. Thank you, Miracle Dr. Qi. You actually suppressed my internal energy for me. Can you provide a permanent remedy? How is it possible? Guanghua, Poison Doc, and the rest of the people were shocked. This miracle Dr. Yin-yang actually found treatment through this way. The rest of the miracle doctors gazed at Qi with surprises. No one can match my medical skills. Qi stared at them with a cold but arrogant face. He turned to the leader of Gordonway and chuckled, Sir, give me another 10 days. I'll be able to cure your illness permanently. Great. The Gordonway old man was elated. You have saved my life. I'll never forget your kindness, and I'll reward you handsomely for this. You're welcome. Qi laughed out loud as he turned to look at Poison Doc and the rest of the people. I told you all. The Chinese miracle doctors are so. Poison Doc, Guanghua, and the rest were looking grumpy. But on the other side, Wang Xian gave a creepy smile. He did not expect this mission would involve a conspiracy. He gazed meaningfully at Qi, but he did not expose him right away. Miracle Dr. Qi, must I stay in the yin-yang clouds all the time? Asked the leader of Gordonway respectfully with smiles. No. I'll paste something on you. Miracle Dr. Qi shook his head as he took out pieces of a weird-looking talisman. He then walked to the leader of Gordonway and pasted them on him. These talismans could temporarily keep your illness under control. You should never take this down. Qi warned the leader of Gordonway. Don't worry, Miracle Dr. Qi. No one can take it down without my permission, the leader of Gordonway said with a beaming face. All right, you're free to move now. Qi had smiles all over his face. He took out the bell and kept the yin-yang clouds. I really recovered. Since the leader of Gordonway could move his body freely, he could not help but laugh out loud. Thank you, Qi Miracle Doctor. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the rest of the miracle doctors too. Today, I'll play a good host to all of you, and I'll send you off tomorrow. Since the leader of Gordonway is cured, it's a load off our minds. That's right. We're glad that you're recovering well. We're incompetent, but luckily, we've got Miracle Dr. Qi. Miracle Dr. Qi was impressive. I believe you'll improve your ranking tremendously on the chart from today onwards. One by one, the miracle doctors congratulated the leader of Gordonway and Miracle Dr. Qi. Poison Doc, Guanghua, and the rest of the Chinese doctors wore awful looks on their faces. They had the highest number of Chinese miracle doctors here on this trip. Even the Poison Doc, ranking 9th, was present. In the end, the leader was cured by a miracle doctor from the island country. Such a disgrace. Let's go. It's getting late. I've gotten my people to get dinner ready, the leader of Gordonway exclaimed happily. All of the people followed the leader of Gordonway to the banquet cave. There were singing and dancing performances with wine and food. Miracle Dr. Qi Shi, no doubt, had become the most attention-grabbing figure in the dinner. Most of the miracle doctors went up to him to curry favors. Even the leader of Gordonway gave a toast to him with joy. The art of yin and yang originated from China. He used our medical skills to cure the leader of Gordonway, and yet, he spoke impudently to us. What a villain. Guanghua drank a glass of wine angrily. Some of the Chinese miracle doctors also darkened their expressions. Why didn't Miracle Dr. Wang give it a shot just now? Asked Poison Doc Yen Shi all of a sudden as he held the body of a poisonous snake that licked the wine in the glass. Hee, I'm not that proficient yet. Wang Xian shook his head and smiled. Miracle Dr. Wang could even cripple Fang Huazi's arms, leaving all the miracle doctors in Sacred Followers Guild with no solutions. I think you're proficient enough. Poison Doc looked at Wang Xian and threw him a faint smile as he spoke. Chapter 212, Conspiracy, 2. Oh. Wang Xian looked to Poison Doc and asked plainly, Poison Doc wants to stand up for Fang Huazi. Ha! I'm not that free. Furthermore, his arms were crippled because he lost in a challenge he initiated. He's too full of himself. However, I'd just like to inform you that Fang Huazi has a master. Poison Doc laughed heartily. Thank you, Senior Poison Doc, for your reminder. Wang Xian was taken aback but nodded his head with a faint smile. The Sacred Followers Guild is much better than the Medical Saint sect. Poison Doc made a baffling statement casually. Wang Xian smiled and didn't say a word. He lifted his wine cup. Come. Miracle doctors from China. Although you guys didn't do a thing, I'll still give a toast to you guys. At this moment, Qi Shi carried a cup, walked over proudly and laughed loudly. No one was paying attention to him. Poison Doc was silently playing with his black poisonous snake. Guanghua was enjoying his wine and the other few miracle doctors were conversing softly. There's a saying in China which goes along the line of this, when one reaches a certain level, he can be a tutor for the rest. There shouldn't be a geographical distinction in the medical world. It seems like you guys are still too petty, commented Qi Shi sarcastically. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. At this moment, the leader of Gordonway also walked in with a cup of wine in his hand. Lifting it, he announced, Let Miracle Dr. Qi Shi and I give a toast to everyone. Hee. Qi Shi, who was standing beside, lifted his cup at the crowd with a sarcastic expression. Thank you, leader of Gordonway, for the warm welcome. Poison Doc, Guanghua, Wang Xian and the crowd stood up and lifted their cups. This young miracle doctor looks a little familiar. I didn't see you attempt previously. It must have been really easy to get these spiritual stones. When Qi Shi saw Wang Xian, he smiled. If I act, someone's going to lose his life, said Wang Xian emotionlessly to Qi Shi. This is interesting. To be able to become a miracle doctor at such a young age, it seems like the medical circle in China has really fallen back. Qi Shi laughed sarcastically as he shook his head and walked towards the crowd. The leader of Gordonway took a glance at Wang Xian and didn't say a word. After a simple nod, he left. Wang Xian looked at Qi Shi and his lips curved into a smile. The banquet wasn't lengthy and ended in an hour plus. Several service attendants brought the guests to their own personal rooms. The rooms were within a stone cave. However, the interior was luxurious. Soon, Mo Qinglong entered and reported to Wang Xian, Young Master, the leader of Gordonway has returned to that cultivation cave. Qi Shi has also left that place. Let's head over then. It's really not easy to earn these 500 pieces of spiritual stones. I will have to ask for a pay increase from Gordonway. Wang Xian smiled and stood up before walking towards the cave, where the leader of Gordonway was, with Mo Qinglong. With the strength of them, they easily avoided the patrolling guards and arrived at the entrance of the cave. Pa! Wang Xian didn't attempt to hide. His footsteps immediately alerted the leader from Gordonway who was sitting in the middle of the cave. Huh? The leader of Gordonway opened his eyes and stared at Wang Xian and Mo Qinglong. May I know why you are here at this hour? It's all because of those spiritual stones. Wang Xian saw a talisman on the leader of Gordonway and walked directly to him. Huh? Stop right there. Seeing Wang Xian walking directly towards him, the leader of Gordonway chided solemnly. SSSSSS. At this moment, the pangolin in the corner got up and headed towards Wang Xian slowly with a vicious look. I'm here to save the leader of Gordonway. This is the territory of the Gordonway family. The leader of Gordonway stood up and emitted a strong aura. Don't worry, we are here to help. Mo Qinglong saw a gust of aura charging towards them. With a wave of his hand, he blocked it off. Inborn expert. The leader of Gordonway became vigilant in an instant and stared closely at Wang Xian and Mo Qinglong. I'm here to save you. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know when others have killed you. Wang Xian walked in front of the leader of Gordonway and reached for the talisman on his body. Huh? The leader of Gordonway was shocked. Seeing Wang Xian lift his hands, he immediately put on his guard. However, to his astonishment, dense droplets of water appeared and swept away the talisman on his body. The talisman broke into pieces after being immersed in water. The leader of Gordonway was horrified as a chill went down his spine. He couldn't even withstand a strike from the young man in front of him when he was at the peak of the inborn realm. However, he quickly recovered and looked blankly at the talisman on the floor. How is this possible? What's the matter? Wang Xian smiled and signaled to the pangolin. SSSSSS. The pangolin stared at Wang Xian in fear. The stifling pressure he felt from Wang Xian a while ago completely petrified him. The pangolin hesitated for a while before crawling over. Arg! Just as the pangolin approached, the leader of Gordonway let out a shriek in pain. He immediately sat on the floor and started suppressing the pain. SSSSSS. The pangolin immediately came to the side of the leader of Gordonway and used its tongue to lick his body. Get back to the corner. After he released his aura once again, the pangolin felt a stifling pressure and scampered to the corner in a hurry. At this moment, the strange feelings on the body of the leader of Gordonway also dissipated. What is this about? The leader of Gordonway lifted his head suddenly and looked bitterly at the pangolin. You aren't sick at all, but there's something wrong with it. Wang Xian pointed to the pangolin in the corner. Wang Xian had attempted to use his piercing eye to check out the injuries on the leader of Gordonway in the afternoon. Under the supervision of the piercing eye, everything could be seen as energy. He noticed faint energy emitted from the pangolin that was being absorbed by the leader of Gordonway. This source of energy was the source of his illness. You are saying there's something wrong with Xiao Jia? The leader of Gordonway asked bitterly. It was clear that someone did something to the pangolin and must be using another method to slowly control you. Wang Xian explained. The leader of Gordonway clenched his fist tightly. Taking a glance at the pangolin in the corner, he walked slowly towards it. Instantly, the feeling of losing control could be felt once again. Chapter 213, The Outcome of Miracle Dr. Yin-yang. The leader of Gordonway took a deep breath as he stared at the talisman that had dropped on the ground just now. He gradually calmed down. He stood there without a word as he was pondering. Wang Xian did not interrupt him. He believed that the wise old man before him was capable of straightening this out. Gosh, given Gordonway's current status after decades of dominance in Jade Nation, never did I expect that someone close to me would hurt me. Radiance flickered in the eyes of the leader of Gordonway. Xiao Jia grew up with me and has been following me around. It's the closest kin that I have. But they actually found a way to control me, and eventually, the entire Gordonway family, through Xiao Jia. Damn! As he finished his sentence, flashes of ferocious radiance were found in the eyes of the leader of Gordonway before he closed them. Thank you for your reminder. I guess Gordonway family is now full of loopholes. Since you can spot this, I hope you can cure Xiao Jia's injuries. When the leader of Gordonway opened his eyes again, he bowed to Wang Xian and pleaded immediately. The leader of Gordonway was even more respectful to the mysterious and formidable miracle doctor as compared to Qi Shi. Of course. I'm here for the spiritual stones anyway. Wang Xian smiled and beckoned the pangolin over. The leader of Gordonway did the same thing too. When the pangolin walked over, the leader of Gordonway was in pain again. Wang Xian stroked its head, and the dragon energy in Wang Xian's body quickly neutralized the poison in the pangolin's body. This was a unique poisonous gas that was absorbed into the body through food. It did no harm to the pangolin, but it would bring extreme harm to those who were near it. In particular, the leader of Gordonway, who practiced his cultivation around the pangolin, and would absorb the poisonous gas directly. Thank you, Miracle Doctor. The leader of Gordonway could no longer feel the pain. With an exhilarated expression, he quickly thanked Wang Xian respectfully. Just giving me a handsome reward will do. Wang Xian said nonchalantly. Yes, certainly. The leader of Gordonway nodded in haste before he knit his eyebrows. Miracle Doctor, I'll deal with my family matters first, and I must get it done by tonight before anything happens. Go ahead. I'm going back to sleep. Wang Xian waved a dismissive hand and went out. Mo Qinglong was following closely. The leader of Gordonway fixed his eyes on Wang Xian. This young man is much more formidable than me. Hiss. The pangolin stuck out its tongues as it made some noises. Xiao Jia, are you saying that you felt oppressed when you saw him? The leader of Gordonway stroked the head of the pangolin as he asked softly. SSS. The pangolin nodded. I heard from my master that there's another kind of existence apart from the realm above inborn realm. They are known as the immortals of the land. Has that young miracle doctor reached that stage? Read latest chapters at Novel Full. He murmured as he stared at the pangolin with flickering radiance in his eyes. Let's go, Xiao Jia. Today, we need to get rid of the black sheep. The night in Jade Nation was not peaceful. The growling sound of beasts could be heard occasionally from the surrounding mountains. It was all the more restless within the territory of Gordonway. Wang Xian did not want to get involved in their affairs. He was here to earn those spiritual stones, not to meddle in family affairs. He detested getting into more trouble. The sun was shining brightly the next morning. The air in Jade Nation was much better than in China. Wang Xian's mood was lifted as he breathed in the fresh air from nature. Sir, I'll lead you to the restaurant. The leader of Gordonway will be sending all of you off later, a waitress said to Wang Xian. Sure. Wang Xian nodded as he came to the restaurant with Mo Qinglong. Congratulations to Miracle Dr. Qi Shi. Word about you curing the leader of Gordonway has successfully gotten out. I'm sure your ranking will improve in no time. This time, Miracle Dr. Qi Shi can definitely rank as the top 30 in the global ranking. After all, you beat many doctors yesterday. That's right. Even Poison Doc Yen Shi is not your match. Your ranking will improve by a lot. Wang Xian overheard the conservations as soon as he entered the restaurant. Ha, my medical skills aren't that formidable. It's just that some people are overrated. Qi Shi raised his voice as he swept his gaze across Poison Doc and other doctors at the corner of the restaurant. He could not hide the conceited look on his face. Miracle Dr. Qi Shi, don't be modest. Your medical skills are impressive. We can't compare to you at all. Several people laughed and replied immediately. Given my medical skills, I can at most get into the top 5. There are several people better than me. Qi Shi shook his head gently. But, the art of yin and yang is still compelling in our country. But the Chinese doctors who were known to be the best are getting worse with each generation. Even a young lad is on the chart. As he spoke, he thought it was funny when he saw Wang Xian walking in. That's true. That lad did not do anything yesterday. Obviously, he did not want to embarrass himself in front of us. That's right. He was the only one who did nothing. Since he's so young, he might have some insider dealings. He came here to enjoy free food and 10 spiritual stones by doing nothing. What a shameless act. Some of the surrounding people commented with smiles just to fawn upon Miracle Dr. Qi Shi. Hee hee. Wang Xian overheard their comments as soon as he sat down. He had a sarcastic look as he looked at the door. The leader of Gordonwei brought 5 to 6 men with him to the entrance. Everyone could sense a vague blood-shedding aura from them. Apparently, they had been killing people not long ago. The leader of Gordonwei is here. Looks like he is looking good. Miracle Dr. Qi Shi is really awesome, said the people around Miracle Dr. Qi Shi when they saw the leader of Gordonwei. Miracle Dr. Qi Shi was slightly taken aback as he spun around. Leader of Gordonwei, you got up early today. Why didn't you take a good rest? With my talisman, you should be able to have a good sleep. Miracle Dr. Qi Shi said with a smiling face. I didn't sleep a wink last night. The leader of Gordonwei gave a bloodthirsty look. Why is it so? Miracle Dr. Qi Shi asked with doubts when he observed something wrong with the leader of Gordonwei's expression. I was getting rid of those black sheep, the leader of Gordonwei said with a ghastly voice. Soon after, everyone watched with shock as a fist struck Qi Shi's chest. Bam! How dare you collude with those traitors and poison me, Miracle Dr. Qi Shi. You'll join them too. Puke. Miracle Dr. Qi Shi spat out a mouthful of fresh blood with a drastic change in his expression. He was petrified. How did you find out? Take him away. I'll make sure he enjoys the rest of his life. The leader of Gordonwei commanded the people behind him coldly and let out a sigh of relief. He walked to Wang Xian and bowed. Miracle Dr. Wang, thank you. Chapter 214, Jade King Mountain Range. Shocking. Everyone in the restaurant was dumbfounded and looked at the development with disbelief. They looked blankly at the leader of Gordonwei bowing down to the young man and thanking him respectfully. His bow was deep and he did not have the demeanor of an inborn expert at all. He also didn't act in a way that the leader of the top-tier family in Jade Nation would be expected to. He was just like an ordinary citizen thanking his benefactor for lending a helping hand. It seems that the matter you are concerned about has been settled, said Wang Xian heartily. Thank you, Miracle Dr. Wang, for your assistance. I have settled them. The leader of Gordonwei showed a faint smile and sat opposite to Wang Xian. Miracle Dr. Wang, if there's anything you require my assistance for in Jade Nation, feel free to let me know. Sure, I wouldn't stand on ceremony. Wang Xian replied with a laugh. Will Miracle Dr. Wang be interested in hanging around Jade Nation for a few days? I'll let my guys bring you around Jade Nation. The leader of Gordonwei extended his hospitality. I'm good. I'm here in Jade Nation to settle some other stuff. I'll be leaving after having my meal. Wang Xian shook his head and rejected. If he stayed in this place for a longer time, Lan Qingyue would probably kill him with her stare. Alright then, Miracle Dr. Wang. I'll get you a chauffeur later to bring you around in Jade Nation. If you ever visit the Jade Nation in the future, let me know in advance. I'll definitely be a good host. The leader of Gordonwei smiled and stood up. Miracle Dr. Wang, the medical techniques of China indeed have incredible effects and you are really a worthy young hero. Enjoy your meal. I'll be leaving now. Wang Xian heard his last sentence. He smiled and bade goodbye to the leader of Gordonwei. Wow! When the leader of Gordonway left, everyone was shocked. They had been watching the entire development attentively. The feeling they got was that the leader of Gordonway had put himself down a little too much. The tone he was using when talking to that juvenile was completely deferential. Even when Miracle Dr. Chi Shi had found a way to treat the illness of the leader of Gordonway yesterday, he wasn't treated as such. However, that juvenile's response was even more shocking. He seemed to take everything as a given, acting nonchalantly. One should know that this was a top-class family with several inborn experts in the clan, and it even had a strong army. They could be considered as elite even when compared with the rest of Jade Nation. From what the leader of Gordonway said, his illness was caused by Miracle Dr. Chi Shi and his clan members. The plot seems to have been seen through by Miracle Dr. Wang. Miracle Dr. Wang from China is really incredible to be able to see through the conspiracy. Moreover, he seems to have cured the illness of the leader of Gordonway. There is a saying in China that goes along with the idea that heroes are often young. Miracle Dr. Wang has such astonishing medical skills at such a young age. His future will definitely be extraordinary. Miracle Dr. Yin-yang was really arrogant. He was still mocking miracle doctors from China yesterday. Now that his plan has been exposed, he's most likely finished. No wonder Miracle Dr. Yin-yang has ways to treat the leader of Gordonway. It was all his doing in the first place. The surrounding group of miracle doctors sighed emotionally. The remaining followers and disciples of these miracle doctors looked across in awe. No one had expected such a young juvenile to be in possession of such astonishing medical skills. As for those who were still crowding around Miracle Dr. Chi Shi a while ago, they immediately walked out with blushing faces. Ha! Miracle Dr. Wang has truly made Chinese miracle doctors proud. This is really beyond my imagination. Miracle Dr. Guang Hua brought his disciples along and laughed heartily to Wang Xian. I guess I'm just lucky too, replied Wang Xian with a laugh. Miracle Dr. Wang's medical skills are truly exceptional and much better than ours. Another miracle doctor walked over and said respectfully to Wang Xian. When one reached a certain level of proficiency, he could be the tutor of others. They had not looked down on Wang Xian just because of his young age. Through this incident, Wang Xian had also become famous. Poison Doc walked over and asked inquisitively, Miracle Dr. Wang, can you share with us how you diagnosed the illness of the leader of Gordonway? The truth was that the leader of Gordonway wasn't sick at all, but someone poisoned the pangolin beside him. Poison Doc's poisonous snake had probably discovered this. However, it was probably fearful, and the pangolin and didn't dare to go over. Wang Xian said heartily. Oh, so that's how it is. Poison Doc nodded his head slightly. No wonder so many miracle doctors couldn't find the source of illness. The problem wasn't with the leader of Gordonway after all. Miracle Dr. Wang, you are really incredible. I'm truly convinced this time. Wang Xian exchanged pleasantries and smiled with them. Dr. Sun, who was standing by the side, looked at Wang Xian with even more admiration. As for the white-shirt young man, his eyes popped wide open and he was clearly shaken. Miracle Dr. Wang, are you heading back to China in a while? Asked Guanghua. Nope, I still have something to attend to and will be leaving later. Wang Xian shook his head. We will also be hanging around here. Since we are here, we have plans to play for a few more days. After finishing their breakfast, Wang Xian bade goodbye to Guanghua and his disciples. He boarded the car assigned to him by the leader of Gordonway and headed towards where Lan Qingyue was. The end of the Jade King mountain range was the liveliest region in the entire Jade Nation. To ensure the local customs would continue, the local government dug a lot of caves around the area to attract customers. And for the next few days, it would also be the busiest few days of the year. The annual stone betting festival would be held over the next few days. During this period, stone bettors, Jade Stone's lovers and Jade Stone's businesses would be here to bet and purchase. Wang Xian saw a huge crowd gathered in the area they just went past. Miracle Dr. Wang, I'll be waiting here. If you have any instructions for me, you can give me a call, the driver said deferentially to Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. He alighted from the car and looked ahead of him. This was a magnificent entrance. The center of the Jade King mountain range had been dug through and both sides along the path had various stone caves. Within the stone caves and at the entrance, there were various stones on display. Some stones had a faint green shade while others had a tinge of red. These were none other than stones for stone bedding. Wang Xian called Lan Qingyue and walked in. Passing through the entrance, there were more exquisite caves. At the entrances of these caves, there were jade stones that had been cut open with clear prices. Wang Xian saw Lan Qingyue standing with her uncle at the entrance of a rather luxurious-looking shop. Lan Qingyue had a bitter look on her and stood solemnly there. Wang Xian was confused and frowned. He walked over and shouted, "Qingyue! Xiao Xian!" Seeing him walking towards her, Lan Qingyue forced out a smile. Wang Xian could tell Lan Qingyue was unhappy and asked caringly, "What happened?" "Nothing. It's just some matters relating to purchasing jade stones. A supplier we have been working with for a long time suddenly decided to stop working with us." Lan Qingyue frowned slightly. They said someone is preventing them from working with deep-sea jewelry. TSK. The ones behind this must have been the Zhou jewelry and Lingyue sect. Endnote. This chapter refers to the doctor as Qi Shan. In 212, it is Qi Shi. Someone used more than 1 million and 200 million worth of jade stones before over here. Lan Qingyue introduced this place to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded as he observed the place that he'd passed by just now. There was a variety of stalls, displaying stones and their prices. Wang Xian walked to a stall. The stall owner was a middle-aged man. When they walked over, his eyes brightened up. "Take a look. Just now, someone won 1 million worth of jade stones with $100,000. My stall has the best feng shui in the entire stone bedding street." The middle-aged man raised his voice as he introduced his stall to them. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes as he swept his gaze across the few hundred pieces of stones at the stall. Wang Xian was speechless when he saw all the common stones in that stall. There were no jade stones at all, and he claimed he had an excellent feng shui. During the stone bedding festival, the Jade Nation will bustle with the highest number of tourists. Some people might make use of this opportunity to gain advantages. If you are not skillful, it would be hard to win a jade stone during these few days. Lan Qingyue reminded Wang Xian when she saw him staring at the stones seriously. Got it. The stone bedding master never fails. Wang Xian turned around and smiled. He came to the second store, pointed at a stone, and asked, "Boss, how much are you selling this for?" "There's a price tag on it." The stall owner looked at Wang Xian and smiled. The entire stone bedding street is clearly priced. Lan Qingyue, next to him, nodded too. "Great. I'll get this." Wang Xian went over and picked up the stone. The stone was about the size of 2 fists with green dots on the outside. This type of stones was not exactly good. It was not cheap for a price of $80,000 either. "Sure, do you want to cut the stone here?" "We can do it for free," asked the stall owner with a smile. "Can I do it myself?" Wang Xian asked. "Certainly." He nodded. "Oh, look who I saw. Someone from deep-sea jewelry. Why? Do you intend to rely on stone bedding to support the sales of the deep-sea jewelry?" Ha! At this time, a chuckle of sarcasm was heard. Lan Qingyue and Lan Quanfeng were stunned for a moment. When they turned around and saw the group of people, their faces sank immediately. There were more than 20 people with one lady and 4 middle-aged men in the center. Several old men and young men were following behind them. The one who spoke was a lady. She fixed her eyes on Wang Xian and the rest who were gambling with a taunting look. Hee, the Zhou. What a huge lineup. Lan Qingyue stared at the lady and the rest of the people with a darkened expression. The girl from Lan family, you've got quite an ability. You were going to marry into the Lu family a few days ago. But now, you are sticking to Miracle Dr. Wang. How nice it is to be a youngster. The middle-aged lady mocked Lan Qingyue. She then turned to look at Wang Xian. I bet you're Miracle Dr. Wang. What a young and promising man. Her. Upon hearing what the middle-aged lady said, Lan Qingyue had a nasty look. You're already old, so don't be jealous. Even if I was not old, I would not be a loose person. A hint of coldness flashed in the middle-aged lady's eyes as she followed up with a sarcastic remark. Chapter 216, Stone Betting Master. Her remarks made Lan Qingyue uncomfortable as Lan Qingyue stared harshly at the middle-aged woman. Old hag, don't disturb us here. Wang Xian gave a cold reply after hearing what the middle-aged woman said. What did you call me? Old hag? The middle-aged woman shrieked upon hearing Wang Xian and stared furiously at him. I'm talking about you. Do you need me to emphasize it again? Wang Xian remarked emotionlessly at the middle-aged woman. Miracle Dr. Wang. Don't think you can be arrogant just because your ranking on the Miracle Doctor's chart is high. We are not the Lu family. You are just a factionless doctor. You should take a look at your standing. A middle-aged man beside the middle-aged woman reminded Wang Xian in a harsh tone. Oh, is it so? Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man mockingly. TSK. It's easy to die young when you are so arrogant. The middle-aged man showed no signs of weakness and retorted, a factionless doctor isn't safe anywhere. It's easy to die away from home. I'd like to give it a try. Killing intent flashed in Wang Xian's eyes. The middle-aged man laughed nonchalantly. His Lingyue sect was a first-class force similar to the Lu family. Although this juvenile had annihilated the Lu family, Lingyue sect wasn't fearful of him at all. In fact, he didn't even see Wang Xian as equal. Although miracle doctors were strong and could summon experts who owed them favors, a factionless doctor had a huge weakness. That was that they did not have any real supporting force or incredible individual strength. The Sacred Followers Guild did not exist in the past. The establishment of the Sacred Followers Guild was a gathering of various miracle doctors. The purpose was to ensure the safety of various miracle doctors. This was because many miracle doctors were often threatened and slain in the past. The 9th-ranked miracle doctor was also killed by Maniac G. And yet Maniac G was still alive and kicking. The reason was because the 9th-ranked miracle doctor wasn't from the Sacred Followers Guild or the Medical Saint sect. If he had a strong supporting force behind him, Maniac G would definitely not act rashly. This was because if he did, it would be equivalent to a slap to the supporting force behind him and a declaration of war against it. The strong supporting force would definitely hunt Maniac G down. However, those who owed the 9th-ranked miracle doctor favors were fearful of Maniac G's strength and didn't seek revenge for him. Other than that, experts wouldn't be at the beck and call of the miracle doctors they owed favors to forever. Once they had repaid the favor, they naturally wouldn't help in the future. These were the weaknesses of a factionless doctor and also the reason why Lingyue sect wasn't afraid of Wang Xian. If Wang Xian dared to summon 2 inborn experts to Lingyue sect could also invite other sects or friends to face them. The Lu family just happened to be caught by surprise. If the Lu family had made preparations, they wouldn't have been annihilated. At this moment, a Jade Nation local beside the middle-aged man suddenly added, "This is our territory. If Brother Zhou has any need, just leave it to us." Ha, I don't have to trouble brother with this. These are some small matters and Lingyue sect can still settle them. The middle-aged man from Lingyue sect laughed heartily. Hey brat, I'll offer you a piece of kind advice to the deep-sea jewelry. It's better if you guys act honestly in the future. You guys aren't a match for Zhou jewelry. Retreat to the second tier silently or your losses will be grave, the middle-aged woman said to Lan Qingyue with a smile. You guys sure are confident. Wang Xian looked at them with contempt and ridicule. Not only will deep-sea jewelry not retreat to the second tier, but it will also grow stronger and stronger. Wang Xian walked to the stone-cutting machine and signaled to the master stone cutter. The master stone cutter moved away and made a hand gesture to ask Wang Xian to continue. Wang Xian lifted the stone-cutting equipment and placed the stone on it. With a confident grin, he cut it down decisively. The owner of the stall was shocked to see the crowd. When he saw Wang Xian cutting the stone, he immediately looked over. Eh! It's green, it's green. It's a gain, a gain. A huge gain. Note, a gain in stone betting would mean that the value of the gemstone hidden within the stone is higher than the price paid for the stone. The owner of the stall exclaimed loudly in disbelief after seeing the stone. It's really a gain. Lan Qingyue and Lan Quanfeng looked over. Their bitter expressions quickly turned to radiant smiles. Wang Xian smiled. Everything was as he had expected. How could he not get a gain with his piercing eyes? If he had failed, he must be blind. Using his piercing eye to scan the stone, Wang Xian could look past the impurities of the stone. He could already see approximately 1,000 grams of top-class jade stone in it. What a killing! Top-class jade. This piece is worth at least $7 to $8 million. That's 100 times profit. The stone betting owner exclaimed loudly. The owner's voice drew the attention of the nearby crowd as they came over inquisitively. Wow, what a huge piece without any impurities. That's at least $7 to $8 million. Hey brother, will you sell it for $8 million? A man shouted loudly from the crowd. Wang Xian shook his head and threw the stone to Mo Qinglong. Huh? You guys sure are lucky to get a gain. The middle-aged woman from the Zhou jewelry looked at that piece of jade stone in shock and remarked coldly. My luck has always been great. Wang Xian replied the middle-aged lady. After which, he turned to Lan Qingyue and asked, how is it? As I've said, I'm a master of stone betting. Even you dare to call yourself a master of stone betting? Aren't you afraid of others cutting your tongue off? An old man behind the middle-aged woman spoke with disdain. He looked to the middle-aged woman and said, Madam Zhou, leave the stone betting to us. All right, old Feng, I'll leave this to the various masters. The middle-aged lady smiled and nodded her head. Let them know that stone betting isn't just about luck, and who's a real master. Hee, just leave it to us. He's just a brat and his luck alone can't be compared with us. 5 to 6 old men walked to the stall ahead. They took out professional tools and started examining each stone. Seeing their proficiency, the owner was shocked and knew that these old men were experts. Hee. Wang Xian glanced at the group of old men acting professionally. He signaled to the boss and pointed his fingers directly. Boss, give me that stone right there, and this. All right, brother. The owner nodded his head and picked up 2 stones. One was 5 to 6,000 grams while the other was just the size of a fist. Wang Xian gave the boss $150,000. After which, he brought the stones to the stone-cutting equipment. As he swung the blade down, glorious red light was reflected off the stone. Bloodstone. Supreme Class Bloodstone. Oh my god. It's another gain. This is a huge gain. Supreme Class Bloodstone. Just a small spot like this is worth at least $3 million. Oh my. Is this luck? How can one be so lucky? 2 consecutive huge gains. His luck is simply exceptional. Exclamations broke out moments after Wang Xian cut the stone. His lips curved into a smile as he looked towards the group of dumbfounded old men. Master of stone betting. If you guys are masters of stone betting, I'll be the god of stone betting. Chapter 217, God of Stone Betting. Sigh, Lady Luck is smiling on me. Wang Xian sighed softly as he taunted. In just a few cuts, he cut out a piece of supreme-class bloodstone from it completely. It was worth at least $5 million. Lan Qingyue and Lan Quanfeng stared dumbfoundedly at the jade stone in Wang Xian's hand with their mouths agape. His luck is way too good, isn't it? Madame Zhou and the rest of the people stared at Wang Xian, stunned as their expressions gradually turned nasty. It's too early to be happy. Madame Zhou scorned at Wang Xian coldly. Let's continue. Wang Xian tossed the jade stone in his hand to Mo Qinglong before he picked up the stone that was the size of a head. This is the third one. He is not going to have a huge gain, is he? How can he have such good luck? Even a master cannot guarantee he could double or triple the investment for all the stones in 3 consecutive rounds. He has the luck of the Irish if the same thing happens again. The surrounding onlookers stared at Wang Xian as they discussed in whispers. Madame Zhou and the rest of them fixed their eyes on him as well. Wang Xian felt funny when he saw the crowd. Without much consideration, he wielded his knife. Oops! Wang Xian exclaimed with a smile when he shook his head as soon as he saw the gray stone in it. The first knife fails. This is normal. How can one have such good luck? The people around them commented. Ha, he thought that Lady Luck is always by his side. What an idiot. Just when Madame Zhou was gloating over his misfortune, Wang Xian brought the knife down again. How is this possible? Madame Zhou swallowed her words abruptly as she shrieked. A hint of immense green was seen. Gosh, he got it again. Fuck, it's a huge gain. All 3 stones were huge gains. This is fucking awesome. Gosh, boss. Did you have all the best stones? The green one was not too bad. Despite the value not being any higher than those 2 earlier on, it still could fetch millions of dollars. My luck is really good. Wang Xian shook his head slowly as he cut the stone open. Xiao Xian, you're simply impressive. Lan Qingyue ran over exhilaratingly as she gazed at him with admiration. Ha, I was wrong. They are the masters. I'm the god of stone betting. Wang Xian chuckled. Let's go to another stall. We'll make huge money today. Wang Xian tossed the jade stone to Mo Qinglong and looked at those urban masters. Old people, good luck. The several old men had their cheeks flushed as they stared at Wang Xian with shaky bodies. Hee hee. Wang Xian laughed sarcastically and proceeded to the next stall. Madame Zhou and the middle-aged man from Lingyue sect glared at Wang Xian with nasty looks. They gritted their teeth. Let's follow them. Wang Xian came to another stall as he scanned the jade stones. Immediately, he knew everything. Boss, give me these 7 pieces. Wang Xian pointed at 7 stones as he instructed the stall owner. Are you buying all these? They cost a total of $1.85 million. Bring them over. Wang Xian said immediately. Xiao Xian, aren't you buying too much? Lan Qingyue hesitated and reminded him when she saw him buying 7 pieces of rocks in one shot. Qingyue, just you watch. Wang Xian smiled at her as he received all the stones. He really thinks he can get a huge gain for all the stones he picked. Madame Zhou looked at Wang Xian and said with a sullen look. Wang Xian chuckled as soon as he heard that. He picked up a knife and wielded it at the jade stone. Tisk, tsk, why is it a gain again? Wang Xian sighed and shook his head pretentiously. Those stone betting masters were totally stunned as they witnessed it themselves. It's a fucking gain again. He looks at a stone, buys it, cuts it, and it's a gain. This is godlike. Fucking hell. It's a gain. Looks like it must be a middle-class jade stone that costs over $1 million. Lan Qingyue clapped her hands like a kid and exclaimed. This future son-in-law of the Lan family is too sick. Lan Quanfeng widened his eyes with his mouth wide open like a fool as he watched. Well, this should be more than $1 million. Here. He tossed the jade stone to Mo Qinglong before he continued. Another cut was done. Oops, nothing. It's a loss. My luck is getting poor. Wang Xian revealed a smile on his face. Out of 7 stones, 3 of them were gains, and 3 of them were wastes. Boom. However, a commotion erupted around him when he cut the last stone. FML. Emerald gemstone. Such a huge emerald gemstone that fucking costs $100 million. This is insane. The first emerald gemstone, highest value of a jade stone, was found in this year's stone betting festival. It was already impressive for someone to get a glass stone yesterday. Today, someone actually got an emerald gemstone. Emerald gemstone, the most supreme stone among the jade stones. Any one of them could easily fetch at least over 10 million. The one that Wang Xian got was worth at least 100 million. Yes. Wang Xian exhibited satisfaction on his face. He held the emerald gemstone that was palm-sized and passed it to Mo Qinglong with a smile. Gosh, Xiao Xian. You're amazing. Really amazing. Lan Qingyue was so excited that she could not help but give Wang Xian a peck. Of course. Wang Xian grinned. You don't have to procure the jade stones this year. Just leave it to me. Great, then I'll leave this to you. Lan Qingyue exclaimed with excitement. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Let's carry on. Okay. Let's continue. How is this possible? Madame Zhou stared at Wang Xian with disbelief as she gritted her teeth. Madame Zhou, this is bizarre. He's picking up random jade stones, and he already made big bucks from them. This is totally illogical, those stone betting masters said with embarrassment. They were the top-notch stone betting masters in China. Now, a young man had surpassed them totally. This was simply. Yes, that fellow is bizarre to earn more than 100 million within a short period. If he continues, he can support the entire deep-sea jewelry. Madame Zhou said with a sullen look. If that's the case, whatever plans we have to stop deep-sea jewelry from running their business are wasted, the middle-aged man from Lingyue sect said calmly. Madame Zhou turned around slowly as she looked at the middle-aged man from Jade Nation with a malevolent face. When the middle-aged man from Lingyue sect saw the look on Madame Zhou, he knit his eyebrows as a hint of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. Shamala, can you settle something for us? The middle-aged man from Lingyue sect asked gravely. Brother Zhou, the jade stones are ours. We cannot do anything to them since they are not from our country. Marine understood their intentions immediately as he smiled. Okay, when should we strike? Ha, we don't need timing. This is the turf of Shamala. We can strike at any time. Marine said with nothing to fear. Chapter 218, You guys are ants in my territory. Madame Zhou and the middle-aged man from Lingyue sect gave a cold smirk. Shamala was a top-tier family in the capital of Jade Nation. The sect leader of Lingyue sect met the leader of the Shamala family by chance while on a mission. Because of this, the Zhou jewelry had been able to rise up rapidly. Just before this, to take a further step forward, the Zhou jewelry had allied completely with Lingyue sect. Since then, the Zhou jewelry and Lingyue sect would each receive 50% of the profits. As for the Zhou jewelry, it also made its way to become the strongest jewelry business in the country. This was the territory of Shamala family and they were in Jade Nation. It was too easy for them to deal with some external people. Hee. It's a shame that Miracle Dr. Wang has to die so early despite being so incredible. Madame Zhou said coldly with a smile. Deep Sea Jewelry wants to compete with us. They are still a far cry from us. The middle-aged man from Lingyue sect laughed. Huh. This is. Near the center of the stone betting street, Wang Xian stood in front of a stall. Beside him, Mo Qinglong was carrying a huge bag. There were all kinds of gemstones in the bag. Adding them together, their value had exceeded $500 million. And their cost was only slightly above $10 million. This speed of earning money was truly horrifying. To prevent others from following them, Wang Xian stopped opening the stones after purchasing them. He was preparing to send them back to be checked in a secured place. This was also to prevent them from attracting too much attention. Wang Xian looked at the largest stone at the stall he came across. Using his piercing eye, he found the interior of the stone to be extremely creepy. It wasn't a gemstone in it, nor impurities. It was a sapling, a jade green sapling. At the center of the stone, there was a blue liquid. Weird. Extremely weird. Moreover, Wang Xian found his eyes getting tired and extremely uncomfortable when looking into the stone with his piercing eye. This was the feeling he would get only when he tried to look through some immense power. However, why would a stone have such immense power? This might be a treasure. That sapling is able to survive within the stone. It is definitely not simple. Wang Xian thought to himself as his eyes lit up. He immediately said, "Boss, I'm getting this stone." "Alright, sir." "It's $2, 3 million. That owner was thrilled and replied immediately. Wang Xian didn't say a word and simply reached his hands over to receive the stone. This stone was much larger than a basketball and weighed 30 to 40 caddies. "I'll do a thorough examination when I get back," he thought to himself before placing the stone in the bag Mo Qinglong was holding. "Hello, everyone. It seems like you're having quite a fruitful day." At this moment, the voice of the middle-aged man from Lingyue sect sounded beside them. Huh? Lan Qingyue and Lan Quanfeng turned around and saw that 20-odd people had suddenly surrounded them. "What are you guys trying to do now?" Lan Quanfeng looked at the group of young men from Jade Nation. It was clear that they weren't friendly. "How dare you guys steal in my territory? You guys must be really daring." Moraine's eyes lit up when he saw the bag in Mo Qinglong's hand as he remarked sarcastically. "Steal?" Lan Quanfeng and Lan Qingyue were shocked. Soon anger raged up. "Steal? Since when did we steal? Which eyes of yours caught us stealing?" Lan Quanfeng growled angrily. "When? Just today. The loot is right in the bag you guys are carrying." Marine smiled. "I can attest to it," Madame Zhou said with a smile confidently. "Why did you have to resort to stealing? How shameless. Come with us," Marine said mockingly. "Slander. What proof do you have of us stealing? It is clear that we bought these. Moreover, what authority do you have to order us to go with you?" Lan Quanfeng said solemnly. "The authority comes from being part of the Shamala family," Marine replied arrogantly. "And based on the fact that this is our territory." Shamala. The owner was shocked when he heard the middle-aged man. He quickly lowered his head and greeted respectfully. "Good afternoon, sir." "Shamala? You are from the Shamala family?" Shamala is an exceptionally strong family in the capital. This group of people must be eager to die for them to be daring to steal the items of the Shamala family. Isn't that middle-aged man the one in charge of this place? His standing in Shamala is really high. How did this group of foreigners offend them? This is the territory of the Shamala family. No one dares to offend the people of Shamala family in this place. Some passers-by looked across in shock, and at Marine. Madame Zhou, aren't you going a little overboard to accuse us without evidence? Lan Qingyue said coldly to Madame Zhou and the crowd from Lingyue sect. With the strength of their country, the ancient martial arts families in Jade Nation wouldn't dare to beat them up. Moreover, the business circle restricted assassination of the other party. Once a party broke the rules, the party would be penalized. You stole the gemstones and it's only natural that they will be confiscated. Moreover, we won't harm you. However, the middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian and gave a murderous stare. Miracle Dr. Wang is from the underworld. He might suffer some injuries or even death. Miracle Dr. Wang is really incredible at stone betting. I'm really convinced. However, I've forgotten to tell you that this is my territory. Madame Zhou laughed loudly and looked at Wang Xian. Shamala. Wang Xian turned solemn. He had not expected the Zhou jewelry and Lingyue sect to link up with the local forces to target them. Moreover, they were so blatant. You guys are no different from robbers. Upon hearing them, Lan Qingyue stared coldly and chided them. Brat. You are now in my territory and you should watch your words. Otherwise, it's still fine to teach you a small lesson. Marine replied coldly. Incredible. Incredible. To ally with Shamala family and frame us directly. Wang Xian looked mockingly at Marine and remarked emotionlessly, are you sure the Shamala family would want to go against us? I'm reminding you to think this through. Ha. Marine laughed loudly. Brat, I don't have to think about it. So what if we are going against you? Who the hell are you? Using the words from the Chinese, this is the territory of the Shamala family. Even if you are a dragon, you better stay down in front of us. Even if you are a tiger, you shall bow down in front of us. In my territory, you guys are just like ants. Is it so? Wang Xian revealed a cold smirk. I don't like to remain down. Wang Xian turned and stared harshly at the people from the Zhou jewelry and Lingyue sect. Since you have chosen this, it's only courteous that I return the favor. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.